I have clicked the button.
Free city of tea. Mmm, tea. Delicious, delicious tea. All right. Let me get a link so I can tweet her. So I can tweet her and the monkey man. No one gets that reference. That makes me sad.
I'm sorry.
Squee would get it.
No.
He's my age.
It says my
What?
voice is disconnected.
Yeah,
well.
you're coming in and out.
Yeah.
That's your turn to have the internet problems.
Haha!
Yay, everyone
One
gets a
second.
turn. Burn, Piph, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Squee died.
I think he's switching to his phone.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
I have a feeling that I'm not gonna sing this stupid song. Oh shit, my feeling is super wrong. I am singing this stupid song.
Man, this is great.
102 PA, Fire Frog. What? Stop giggling and tell. Oh, you show me.
It's in Discord. Grilling in the name of.
Yes, I get it.
Good.
Heart.
Yeah, we've been in Tolkien for, I want to
Quite a
say,
few sessions
4 or
now.
5 sessions now.
Yeah, 4 or 5 sessions. Yeah.
We went there immediately after
Ishpaming.
Ishpaming. Yeah.
Ishpaming. Na 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 na. Ishpaming. La 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 la. I guess I should get into roll 20, huh?
Might be an idea.
Well, if Squee ever shows up. If no Squee, then we get no player gun. And that will make Inferno.
No.
So prepare for that. You say these words, but
Mm.
I do not believe
I
you.
don't. Well, Squeevy?
Hello.
Hey,
Oh,
someone's using his phone.
Yeah, sorry. I don't think the connection is stable enough for me to hear you guys otherwise.
Hey, it's your phone, dude. It's all good. We can hear you
Oh,
much better now.
Yeah. I've got plenty of data. That won't be a problem.
Okay.
He says, hopefully. Yeah, no, it'll be
Okay.
fine.
All right.
Crossing all.
Well, then let's not waste too much time then.
Okay.
And once you can get into can you still get into roll 20 on your laptop there, Squeepy Face?
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, we'll wait for everyone to get into roll 20, and then we're gonna get started here. We'll keep it a shortish session since it's a work night for me. We'll be about 3 hours starting now, so we'll end up in about 3 hours time. So we'll get through as much as we can.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds delightful.
Firefrog. I realize they probably have bigger problems than a serial killer rapist. I still don't want to go there, though.
Because we in modern society we have bigger problems than petty thieves, but petty thieves still get caught and arrested.
Yeah.
It's not how that works. Just because there's big problems doesn't mean you can't deal with little problems.
Yeah.
Just that simple. If that was true, I mean, as long as there was a murder around, no one would get a traffic fine. Because people have bigger problems than traffic fines.
No one
You
would be
lie.
arrested for drugs. I mean, murder seems more important than drugs. So I mean,
Exactly.
Nothing's more important than traffic fines. Bastards.
For a second, I thought Squee was going to say nothing's more important than drugs. I'm like, uh-oh.
Or murder.
yeah.
Or murder.
Murder drugs.
Turn up your volume then, Cobra.
Yeah. I'm not gonna mess with my audio again.
Don't.
I've been having to do that for Naruto League.
All right, there's Squee. So let's get going
Yes.
here, all right?
Yes.
I am here.
Everyone else set?
Yes.
Pretty sad.
Yes.
Okay.
I have my
So I
character
won't do a recap right now. Because I tried it last time, it didn't work. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. But we're going to start this session tonight with getting back to your home, back to the, I guess you could say, the ley line powered airship towards your black market provided safe house. This will be a few minutes after you leave the Pastafloria, in which, and by you, of course, I mean Patrick, Al, Mila, and August. Tom, of course, has departed his own ways, or even at this point, he's still at the Pastafloria, finishing things up, finishing his, for lack of a better word, security job.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that on the walk back, Alan, Patrick, you can see on the walk back that August is rather pensive. He has this stern look on his face. His eyes are narrowed. His mouth is puckered tight, as if he is either fuming or thinking of something intently, or perhaps both. Mila notices this a little bit, and she does what Mila does best, which is, to try to cheer him up, ask him questions, nudge him, all that good stuff. But although August does at some point warm up to Mila's, attempts to cheer him up, or many times he gets flustered and perhaps even bashful, he's neither this time. He gives a few good-natured looks, but it's clear that he's quite distracted. I plan on setting the next scene when you get back to your safe house. Is there anything that you guys would like to do in the meantime before I set up that scene?
Yeah, actually, I wouldn't mind having a talk with August real quick. Like, ask him to stay outside with me for a moment when the others go in.
Sure.
And
Mm-hmm.
when they go in, Al would say to August, I didn't want to say this in front of Mila because, she's not a prize to be defended or anything, but I think you handled yourself really well there. I know it couldn't have been easy for you, and that guy was an ass.
That is one way to say it, August says in his slightly snooty tone. Although I would be lying if I said I was not completely infuriated. I plan on getting the last laugh. And that's what I'm going to focus on. See what that sneering boor thinks then, how he looks at us through prison bars, or perhaps he'll be dead by the end of this. Who knows? Either way, I have dealt with folks like that before in the past, and they may try to make me feel small and insignificant and ugly and wrong, but I'm smarter than him. I'm smarter than a lot of people, and I'm going to show that off. I just need some time to think.
Well, I certainly don't want to get in your way, but remember, you're not with a group now. You're part of a group. If you need help, just say so.
Yes. Well, I'll be remembering that shortly. The first initial ideas are coming to my mind, but I require some private time to develop these ideas further. But I will hold you to that. Yes, 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 I will.
Al will nod, thinking maybe not the best idea.
Either way, August doesn't notice your perhaps apprehension as he goes enters the home as well. It's well into the evening now, probably just a little after midnight, but it's a clear sky, a cool breeze. Um, the moon is at 3/4 full, lighting up much of the streets that the lamplights don't they themselves light up. Um, Tom,
Yeah.
still under the guise of crazy eyes, you are able to return to the Fellowship of the Pure Heart without incident.
Okay. Is there
Apparently,
something that I could have done right before I left?
of course,
Okay.
we're in a pretty free flow time here.
Okay.
Go
I
ahead.
want to make sure that the bottle is disposed of.
Um, how do you intend on doing this?
I'm going to offer to buy the bottle from the bartender again.
Uh, the give me a moment here.
No problem.
Let me think. Let me set up the scene here. Give me a moment as I open up some documents. Come on, open office. Work faster. There we go.
Those were the
So-
last words before the Great Office Rebellion.
No. Okay. So we're going to set the scene. Things are dying down a little bit. The party has died down. Only a handful of people are left at the bar, including Proposition Cal and most of his crew. Quiet Sun has already departed, as has most of her crew. And it seems that Prop Cal and Haha, you might recall, who is I guess you could say, the underboss of the crew that specializes in stolen cybernetics and bionics. And Prop Cal and Haha are having a final drink at the bar itself. Violet, the violet-eyed woman, your friend, well, not your friend, but Chucky or Charles, and the one known as Wonder Boy, the young kid who is the nephew of Haha, are kind of forming around the two bosses.
Okay.
And it seems that the bartender is actually gone. He has left for the night. But the blue bottle is still underneath the bar, untouched. You can tell by you entering through the kitchen and seeing from the kitchen door towards Prop Cal and Haha and their men and women. You can see behind the bar from the angle that you're on. You can see the the blue bottle where you left it, or where you told the bartender to leave. So what'd you like to do?
Well, I'll approach the bar and
Okay.
go behind it.
As you do so, Prop Cal, his eyes glazy from drink and from a night of celebration, flicks his eyes sharply towards you, as if he is suddenly paranoid and at edge. As he looks away from Haha and he looks to you, and he gives you a meaningful glance, but he doesn't say anything. His eyes once more return to his underboss pal, who is laughing away in the midst of telling this long drawn out limerick, having to do with a female dog boy and the coalition Psy Stalker.
Okay. Well, Tom will just stand behind the bar and wait to see if they need any refills or anything.
Well, you can tell by the half-empty bottle of the label itself says Golden Sands Tequila. Between Haha and Prop Cal, it seems that they've already gotten their own drink.
Ah, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. But the stories continue from Haha as things drawn out. But from more and more often, Prop Cal is looking towards you. First, maybe once every few minutes, then once every minute, and then now, like once every about 15 seconds or so, he's taking a glance at you. And the last few glances are clear, questioning glances, as if he's asking you with his eyes, do you need something, or is something the matter? But he's not saying this out loud.
Tom will just kind of lean back against the away from where they're talking, and just kind of shake his head and let the conversation progress. And
Okay.
he'll wait.
I'm going to pause there for a moment then, and I'm going to switch back to the other guys, if that's okay.
No problem.
All right. So, this is going to create some time displacement. This is happening in sync. It's two separate scenes, but that's fine. I can just switch back and forth. So this next scene that's going to happen at the house is going to be around 2 o'clock in the morning. Would either Al or Patrick be up, or do you want to come up with an excuse for why they'd still be up?
What time would it be?
2 o'clock in the morning.
Shoot. Patrick would be hard pressed to be awake at that time.
Okay, no problem. You don't have to be awake. It's just an open question.
All right.
Al?
Yeah, sure. We could say Al's up. Just having trouble sleeping. Let's say he's like in the kitchen getting a glass of milk.
Okay. So, as you're getting your glass of milk, you hear a set of heavy footsteps thump down the hallway towards where the bedrooms are. And emerging from the hallway into the living room and attached kitchen, you see August holding his personal pocket computer, pocket PC, in both hands, clutching it tightly. And his eyes look wild and excited as he heads over towards the island of the kitchen, and he sees you there and goes, you're still up. I just came up with it. I just figured it out, Al. Out, Al. He goes, yeah. Now, see, a part of what I did for the Red Suns, why Gyro initially hired me, is because I am meticulous and excellent at finding security breaches. In fact, that was the main linchpin of why he wanted me around so much. I found ways to bypass the security of Green Castle, allowing his little takeover to go smoothly. Now, the black market, with the exception of the little encrypted hard drives that they provide, seem incredibly low tech. They've already said several times and uttered several threats about no surveillance, nothing like that. But there's more than just a security breach. Doesn't have to be digital. It can be a mistaken behavior. And I noticed tonight they search people coming in and out for weapons and wires and everything from head to foot, but they miss something. I have not seen a single one of them check the scalp, the hair of people going in and out of their establishments. And he'll turn the computer around to face you, and you'll see a flurry of schematics, rough outlines, clearly scientific crib notes. Half of them seem to be in a language that you don't understand. It's Technocan. You can't speak Technocan, can you?
No, I can't.
Yeah. So half it's in this strange digital, analog slang. But you can see an outline of what appears to be something that resembles a microphone or maybe a concealed camera, something, a device like that. And August hastily explains. He says, now, I've designed something that is extremely low tech, but extremely effective. A simple microphone that one can implant in their hair, and the line connecting to it and the power could all be hidden underneath a lush amount of hair that a person has. It could be attached to the scalp and not be searched. The only problem is that this level of micro technology is not something that is easily available. I'm not too sure even if any place in Tolkien might have it. If they do, it would be extremely rare and probably regulated or monitored. However, if I were able to get back to, and he pauses for a little bit and he looks around and he kind of gives you a look like, is this safe look?
Al would listen and look around as best he can.
There'll be a pause that hangs in the air that where August looks at you through his glassed frames, and for a moment he'll open up a new page on his computer and he'll type out, "Can I talk about the ship now?"
Oh, Al will say, he'll read it and then he'll very calmly go, "I'm getting really stuffed in here. You want to take a walk with me? Just a quick one, get some air."
Yeah, sure, whatever, August says.
And then Al will walk casually with August, out the back door, and just like a little ways down the street.
Okay. And at that point, August will continue. If I were to get back to the ship, to the, oh my God, the second, no.
Rhapsody.
The Rhapsody. Oh my God, I forgot the name of our own ship. If I could get back to the Rhapsody, I believe I could find the materials, or at the very least, cannibalize small tertiary systems of the ship in which to create enough devices for at least 4 or 5 individuals with an excellent microphone and 360-degree, at least. If these schematics detail anything, and he'll point to them again as he takes over there. You have no idea what he's talking about. He says at least it can hear a pin drop from about 40 feet away. I've been able to modify the gain to ensure there isn't too much feedback. And micro recorders, a digital micro recorder that could record up to 8 hours of straight conversation before it would need to be downloaded onto obviously a computer platform, which I could handle as well. Suffice to say, anything that I borrowed from the Rhapsody, as long as we're able to recover the microphones at the end of this little escapade of ours, I would be able to return to the tertiary systems. Either way, even if they did go missing, it would not be crippling to the Rhapsody itself.
Al is actually looking at August with a fair amount of amazement on his face.
Well, what? What, do you think that's too dangerous? Maybe, I mean, Alicia can pilot the Rhapsody. She could maybe go with me.
I'm just wondering how you're not insanely rich. Do you have any idea how much money the Coalition would give for a device like that?
Well, to be fair, Al, he says as he rolls up his glasses, I was not even aware of technology such as this until we went into orbit and came back with an extremely advanced spaceship. Once again, this is all very much a prototype phase, but I'm very confident in this current design.
Al will put his hands on August's shoulders and say, August, it was a compliment. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you were still up. I had to tell someone about this, at least some ideas. I'll try to get a few hours of sleep and then let everyone know the plans in the morning. And myself and a few others can go back to the Rhapsody. I can get what I want, design, use the tools there. They're a little bit more sophisticated versus this type of level of microelectronics. And hopefully everything will work out just fine, and I'll return with a way to record these bastards.
Sounds like a plan. We'll have to be careful, obviously, but we knew there was going to be risk in this when we started this whole adventure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that'll end the scene there. And in the morning, sure enough, August would detail the same plans he did with Al to Patrick and any of the other NPCs who would listen. So I have a question for you guys, the group. Is that August assumes it'll take about 2 or 3 days of dedicated work to create a few of these devices. The question is that someone who can pilot the ship needs to go there because they need to take the Rhapsody out of the lake in which you submerged it, which means since Tom is not able to do so, since he's off doing his own thing, it has to come down to Alicia. So Alicia and August would have to go out of Tolkien and borrow the behemoth for a few days in order to get to the Rhapsody, right?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So the question is, do you want just August and Alicia to go, or do you think some other people should escort these two or accompany them in the behemoth? For the sake of this escapade, both Bear and Blink are willing to assist.
I'm not sure I mind either way. The only thing I would say, Piph, is, and you're probably thinking the same thing, we should come up with some sort of reason in case Cal's like, so why did 2 of your people just go?
4. 2 to 4.
Yes, why did 2 to 4 of your people just go?
Well, that's up to you guys.
Yeah.
While you guys are thinking about that, shall I go back to Byrne and his situation?
Yeah, that'll give
Okay.
me some time, yeah.
All right, so we'll keep the pace going. So, all right. So, Tom, you wait for things to die down, but you stay back, you lean against the bar. No one is making a move for that blue container or anything like that. And you have to wait for about another 45 minutes before Ha is finally done telling his 4th long drawn out story. They are getting more lewd and more crude as the drinks go on. But soon, Ha and his cousin soon depart. After Cal himself says he'll dismiss most of the rest of the security and he'll make sure the Pastifloria is well compensated, and he'll head out with his crew soon enough. Ha takes a few glances towards Crazy Eyes and doesn't say anything. He's very inebriated. In fact, he's so inebriated his young nephew has to partially carry him out the door. Mm-hmm. They hail a cab and leave out of sight. Cal turns to Vi and turns to Chuck, and he says, "I'm going to talk with Crazy Eyes here for a little bit, make sure everything's fine. He's going to ensure that all the security, the rest of the security, gets paid really well. Vi, Chuck, find Miss Bovary. Make sure we pay her we'll give her an extra 30%, what we rented the Pastifloria for. Make her nice and happy. You pay her off, and by that time, we'll all leave together. Chucky gives an eager nod and goes to leave, and Vi moves next to Proposition Cal, and she says, "You sure, boss? You don't want me here?" He goes, "Nah, it's fine. It's nothing. Just business." She gives a long, almost suspicious look for a moment before he gives her a sterner look, and she snaps out of it, and she soon departs. And so soon, Crazy Eyes, Tom, it's you and Proposition Cal, and an empty bar, and an empty lounge, and an empty restaurant. And Cal crosses his big fat fingers across each other, and he presses his palms together as he looks towards you, and he says, "If there's one thing I know about you, is that you do not have a lot of patience, and Haha even gets on my nerves, and we're old friends." And he says the word friends with a spiteful, suspicious tone to it, as he says, "So that must mean you sitting there nice and patient really means something. What do you want? Have you thought about what I had to say? You willing to move over to my crew?"
I've been thinking about it.
Okay.
I think I'll take you up on your offer.
Good, he says. Now, I have a good idea how Quiet Sun likes to run things. We're a little bit more easygoing. I'll probably set you up as protection, intimidation. We've had some problems recently of people coming back complaining about the secondhand goods that we've sold them.
Yeah.
And I think if you're there, you'll really diffuse a lot of potential volatile situations. We'll start there. Then we'll see how your leadership goes. We'll see if you really do want a change of pace. I mean, if you're your regular rowdy self, I'll take it. And don't worry so much about Quiet Sun. I'll talk with her. We'll make a negotiation. Fuck, maybe I'll give her Chucky in return. We'll see. Well, you're still pretty banged up there, so if you want, take a couple days rest, and then you know where. Give me a moment. You know where Handy Mandy's is?
Yeah.
Okay. Friday. It's currently Tuesday, by the way. Well, early Tuesday morning. He says, Friday, be there, 7 o'clock in the morning. If I'm not there, Violet will be there. And you can listen to her, and you can trust her. And she'll tell you where you need to be. She'll give you the rundown. So, I guess the last thing we need to talk about is price. What was Quiet Sun compensating you? What were you getting paid under her crew?
Ooh, give me a second to think.
Okay, sure. This is a stream where I make you all think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Okay, so Burn, while you're thinking, Patrick, Al, thoughts on what other NPCs should go, or do you need some time to talk and brainstorm together as to a possible excuse or reason in case anyone questions?
Piph, you got anything? I'm still thinking.
Piph, are you there? Can you hear us?
I was muted. Excuse me.
I see.
Okay. You know, let's not fill the stream with a bunch of dead quiet here. All right.
Mhm.
Let's pause for a moment. Let's all work together because this is group storytelling, right?
Yeah.
Let's deal with one problem and then the next. All right. So let's finish off Tom's scene. All right.
Okay. What I was
So-
thinking was
Okay.
saying something like, it's probably going to have to be fairly high because this one job was 10 grand. And that's just one night.
It was a special occasion, but yeah.
But at the same time, I could lowball-ish and say, let's just say 15 grand a month.
Okay. You could also play sly. You could name specific numbers. You could also play sly though and say, pay me the same thing you give Chuck. Pay me the same thing you give Violet. You know what I mean? That way you don't have to name a certain number, but he still gets an idea of a figure.
That sounds perfect.
Okay.
I think I'll just do
So
that.
shall we switch? Sorry, I don't mean to I'm brainstorming with you, right?
No, I love
like
it.
I said,
It's great.
Sometimes I got to be on your side in order to keep the game
Yeah.
going, right?
Mhm.
All right, so we'll go back into scene there. All right. So Cal asks, so what did Quiet Sun pay you? What are your expectations here?
Well, Quiet Sun provided a lot, but
Yeah, I'm sure she did.
I'm fine with getting what Violet gets.
Getting what Violet gets, he gives a bit of a smile and he says, I guess from the outside you can see that as a simple request, but okay, tell you what. Vi, I can't go into the specific deals of what I'm paying who, right? You know, that'll create problems. Vi is being groomed, though, for lack of a better word, and anything were to happen to me, and we both know how close that happened tonight. She is the next in charge. Now, that's not to say if you show well, all I really know from you is your temper, your tenacity, your fighting ability, and the very idea that no one wants to fuck with you. These are all very important qualities. But if you can show certain leadership, a cooler head, who knows what can happen. Suffice to say, tell you what, I won't give you quite what Vi is getting, but I'll give you the potential to earn it. We'll start with 50,000 a month. If everything goes well with the intimidation front, I'll double it. How's that sound?
Sure. Sounds
Great.
good.
Good. And normally I'd say this goes without saying, but clearly I'm going to say it anyway. If this is some sort of fucking trap or something from Quiet Sun, that's not going to be good for the organization, you know?
I know.
Okay. Good. That's not good for anybody.
Speaking of
Yeah.
Speaking of good for the organization, he's going to reach down under the bar and pull up the blue bottle. I should probably get rid of this. Who knows who could get into it?
No. Give that to me. It's my gift after all. I'm going to pass it around. See? This is your impulse already, Crazy Eyes. Actually, he wouldn't call you Crazy Eyes. Now that you're part of his crew, he'd call you by your actual name, Clifton, or Cliff. Listen, Cliff, I'm going to take that, and I'm going to find out exactly what's in it. Because if I find out what's in it, that might give me an idea on who's trying to do this. I mean, the loners are pretty rough and tumble. They pretty much like to deal with problems head on.
Yeah.
But those fucking Yellow Wolverine crew, I mean, they deal with drugs all the time. Goodness knows what their chemist could have cooked up. Goodness knows what any chemist could have cooked up. By the way, when you join my crew, we have a healthy relationship, me and the other bosses. But I won't delude myself. We all have our own agendas. We're all just working together to stay safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably want to know a few of what Quiet Sun's agendas are, just to make sure, or at the very least, since I don't want you to be a rat or anything, you'll just give me a heads up if any of my plans interfere with any plans that she had. Does that sound fair? You know, to prevent any conflict within the organization.
Sounds more than fair.
Good. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Don't forget Friday, 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And with that, Prop Cal will scoop up that long blue crystal bottle by its neck and depart after meeting back up with Violet and Chuck.
All right. That sounds good. Then Tom will head back to the Temple of the Pure Heart. I think that's what we call it.
Yeah, the Fellowship of the Pure Heart. They're their headquarters. I know.
Yeah.
It's all good. I know what you mean. Okay, so now we got that scene and that problem out of the way. Let's all together brainstorm and help out Squee and Piph.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're concerned that someone, probably Black Market or someone else, is monitoring you and is wondering why a few of your people are leaving. So I guess the big question is it assumed that you're supposed to stay tight? If you're supposed to, did anyone tell you not to go anywhere?
No, but
I don't think
it's
anybody
more of
did.
Being careful.
Okay, so you want to be careful. There's nothing wrong with being careful. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being careful. So let's think about why people in Rifts, in the world of North America, travel outside of Tolkien.
Mm-hmm.
They could have taken a job on themselves. They could have personal business. They might have to go back to Ishpeming for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They might have to go get I don't know. Maybe the drop of items that Ishpeming said they were going to deliver for you and is going to be showing up the next day or two. Maybe they've gone to retrieve those.
That is true. That would actually be a really good excuse to have our guys go and get them. Plus, it would
get your items.
Yeah, it would get our items, and it would also explain why we sent only a few of us instead of everybody. Because not everybody has to be there to unearth some items. I can see four of us. That idea. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
The other idea that I was gonna say was maybe say August found out that his family is having trouble, so he needed to go and check on them. Something like that.
Yeah, August mentioned he grew up in the Manastique Imperium, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that would be quite a ways away.
Yeah.
So if you're content with that excuse, have that in your back pocket in case anyone asks, for the sake of being careful. Which NPCs do you want to go other than obviously August and Alicia? If any, you don't have to.
Yeah. If I had to pick without giving a freaking week's thought on this, I would say we should probably send more people than just 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm
fine with that.
I personally think at least Blink should go. Because if I recall correctly, Alicia can't pilot power armor, can she?
She can a little bit. No, she can't actually.
Yeah, so we need a pilot for the behemoth.
That's true. Yeah, Alicia, I'm looking at her character sheet right now. Yeah, she doesn't have robots and power armor.
Yeah, she has just the ship,
Just the ship, yeah. And some vehicles too.
Yeah. So we could do that, and we could send Bear as, extra muscle. Just have all 4 of our NPCs go.
I guess that's fine. That's good.
Mm-hmm. You cool with that, Piph?
Yeah.
Then let's do that. All 4
Great,
NPCs.
wonderful. So those arrangements are being made, and Bear, Alicia, Blink, and August soon depart. Uh, we'll say late in the afternoon of the following day, after everyone's on board with what the plan is and what possible excuse might be. And they'll be sure you'll probably give them the location of the cache in which the black market will be dropping off your acquired goods from Ishpeming. And they'll say on their way back they'll pick them up for you. And obviously, the vast majority of them will either have to stay. Actually, last question: do you want the vast majority of them to just stay in the behemoth, or do you want them checked in with the security protocols of Tolkien?
What do you mean by that?
Well, like the golden armor. Where do you want the golden armor to be? Where do you want, like, remember, this is a bunch of the stuff that you initially had in the vault in Ishpeming, and you couldn't get to because you had to get the fuck out of Ishpeming really quick.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of personal item, like a lot of body armor, weapons, stuff like that. So you can either have them kept in the behemoth, or as the NPCs enter back into Tolkien, after retrieving them and doing what August needs to do, they can check them in to the security there. It just depends on where you want to retrieve them.
Yeah, probably the behemoth if I had to.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Okay, so I'll be on board the behemoth. So, you know what? While we're talking about it now, if you guys, those of you who marked down what you didn't have access to because the Ishpeming thing in your group loot, feel free to go in and just earmark them as being in the behemoth, because once again, we're in this very loose narrative space where we'll probably be ticking down a few days. And so we don't forget it. Spoiler alert, they're going to be able to retrieve them and put them in the behemoth, right? They're not going to be attacked by a worm of Tot and consumed, and I'll kill all the NPCs, because that's what a jackass DM would do, right?
I don't even know what a worm of Tot is, and it sounds horrific.
It is horrific. It is. Okay, so we have that down. So now we're in a very narrative place, and we're really in a position where the next steps are really motivated by you, the players. Right now, let me kind of lay down some. We'll kind of talk together in this, if that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you managed to meet and greet some of the major players of the black market, thanks to Cal's party. Tom is still supposedly in prison, waiting to see how that plays out, whereas the real Tom is in the Fellowship of the Pure Heart. He is pretty much under the guise of Crazy Eyes, and he has a potential to work with Cal now, and he has the exclusive information that someone is trying to kill Cal. In addition, you had met Roy Boy, or Roy Schaefer, the fellow you knew as Roger Morris, the one who led all those repair robots that James T ended up joining and subsequently dying from that encounter. There were a lot of leads from that party, so to speak. And of course, at 12 noon every day, you will be in a conference call, for lack of a better word, with Bailey McFadden, the Tolkien Supernatural Division lieutenant. Of course, Edmund Bess, the Cyber Knight, who is also being harbored at the Fellowship of the Pure Heart, as well as every PC here in the group. So you'll be able to coordinate together. There's an in-game reason why you'd all be able to coordinate together and come up with the plans and share information. So that's not a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a friendly reminder, the original idea is to gather as much evidence as possible to the black market major players and criminal activities, enough to bring down the whole damn thing. So, with that objective in mind, what would you guys like to do next? You can start with a meta plan, like a general plan, and kind of whittle it down to specifics and hash it amongst yourselves. Is it fair to say that you guys now, after this party, would confer with each other and figure out what the next best
Oh hell
course
yeah!
of action might be?
Oh
Okay.
hell yeah!
All right.
And
Okay.
Tom would give all of the information that he got over the radio to Bailey McFadden.
Okay, yeah. So you're gonna share that someone tried to kill Cal. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
share that he's hired Crazy Eyes onto his
Yeah.
crew and the whole thing. Okay,
Also,
all
that
right,
the
good.
black market has these leaders. Yada yada yada
Sure.
yada. This is a
Now,
dragon. Yada 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 yada.
sure. And I'm assuming, is it also fair to say that you would share information, Alan Patrick, as to Roy Schaefer and as to the that long story that Haha talked about in regards to a certain disheveled man looking to make some ice? Or are you going to not share that information?
Um, I would probably give the information. I'm not quite sure about details about the Iceman,
Okay, sure,
um,
sure.
but I would probably have that as like something that was just general information.
Okay,
Um, like there was a story about this man, and
yeah.
basically just kind of
And let Tom connect the dots rather than you explicitly telling him.
yes.
Okay.
Because this is shared between a lot of people.
Oh, it is. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
As well as would Patrick
Sure.
talk about the details? Al, would you talk about the details of the other guy?
Which other guy exactly?
Roy
The
Schaefer?
Baron.
Oh,
Not the Baron.
Oh, Roy Schaefer.
Roy Schaefer. Yeah, the con man, Roy Boy.
No, I think if anything, Al would just bring up enough for Tom to know who we're talking about.
Okay.
Then over the radio, everybody will proceed to hear a fuck, and that's it.
Okay. So now let's talk out of game, unless you guys really want to talk in character. Let's have you guys decide what kind of next steps you want to do, right? And I know it's been a while. We've had technical difficulties, and people have been able to play and not play and everything like that. So if you do need to rely on me as a resource to fill out some details, if you do need to ask me some questions, regardless of how general they might be, feel free to do so. I'm here to help you out.
All right. So, original plan was to gather information, or at least details, about all these things to take down the entire thing. Now, I think this is already a fairly strong step, personally, about being able to see pretty much all of the players, knowing them personally, but we don't have any, like, let's just say, courtroom evidence.
Exactly, and that is definitely what Bailey McFadden is pressing for. You know, it's one thing about rumors and hearsay. You can get that from anyone on the street, but being able to really be embedded and gather evidence of, and more specifically, you need some evidence of wrongdoing, either like past crimes or current criminal enterprises. Because it's one thing to identify a person, it's another thing to prove what they're doing is, not so good.
So I would have to think of a grand scheme to do something in one failed giant perfect swoop.
Sure.
But if we want to do something a bit easier and a bit more piecemeal, generally just us knowing who the movers and shakers are, we can use our general knowledge about packages being brought and dumped off, as well as uh, they don't really have a they don't really have like a system, like a electronic system. So it's not something that was.
It doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, so it's a lot more physical and a lot more low tech.
Yeah, it is.
So, most likely than not, we would have to have a person maybe who knows those kinds of um, how to be secret. I think Al may have something. He was at least considered a spy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd assume that he may have picked up a tactic or two about being able to exchange information without other people knowing. So we might be able to tap into that, like what would you do and things like that. Or we were actually given at least a proposition to a job. We can at least figure out details by basically asking around to see what an easy job might be. Just
sure. And we can even have that be like a streetwise check or something like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we have plenty of avenues to go down.
Yes.
So anything that you guys particularly itching to do?
Well,
not particularly itching. I mean, they all have importance one way or another. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like, I actually had spoken to Inferno about this, that Al would actually have had some a decent amount of experience trading information secretly, because that was his job when he decided to abandon the coalition. Mm-hmm. But as not being an actual spy myself, I know, crazy, but I personally am not that experienced at how to do that. So it might have to be like an out of character thing. I don't know how, Inferno, you would want to handle that.
Out of character completely. We just talk about it and then figure out what's realistic to the background and what's realistic to the skills that you've selected for your character. I have no expectation. It's true. Like when I'm playing Three Galaxies, and I'm a smuggler. I don't know a whole lot about smuggling, right? I know a bit about it. It's mostly Hollywood shit, but we can use that as a foundation. And if I have ideas and I think your character would know it, I'm going to share it. I'm not going to be an asshole and keep it secret. So I can start telling you some ideas I have now if that's going to be helpful. Is that going to be helpful to you guys?
Sure. Yeah, because I thought about this a lot, and honestly, the thing is, I'm not sure how realistic mine are, so I'd love to hear yours and maybe play off of them.
Well, this is going to be real simple because actually, interestingly enough, you've encountered quite a bit of this, especially when you had your dealings with Nathan. The Coalition loves encryptions, radio signals, code words, and special methods of communication. For example, Nathan gave you that small little clicker that used like a bastardized form of Morse code, which I believe he called like Alpha 3 or something like that. That is very useful. Code words, obviously, an entire code. So that could be one thing that this current black market uses. Code, slang, street speak, in which a person says one thing and means something else. All right. So skills in cryptology and intelligence would assist in trying to break something like this. Al would also know, as far as low-tech stuff goes, trading information, you've actually seen a little bit of it displayed. Prop Cal himself has mentioned that they don't do long-range radio. They do not do surveillance. It's always face-to-face meetings, and like when you got that package, that data package from the black market, it wasn't they dropped it off somewhere for you to pick up. He personally gave it to you. So I think it's fair to infer from that if they're moving large amounts of money or illegal goods or information amongst themselves, they probably arrange meetings in safe houses or known establishments that they control and have people that they trust, and then they physically hand over information. This is very like low-tech 1950s spycraft, but it's effective. You can't It's hard to tap something like that. It's hard to hack into something like that, right?
Yes, very true.
Okay. So those are some of the ideas that I have going, and some ideas that Al definitely would have in his mind as to how these guys share information amongst themselves.
Okay.
If you have other ideas or other postulations, I can tell you how feasible that might be. And once again, these are just ideas that you think they have. You'd have to do some work to confirm it, right?
Right. It might be very useful to, like you said, like maybe do a skill check, intelligence check to see how well he picks up on their lingo. Because that being the case, if nothing else, I would try and use that to listen to conversations and see if I can pick out the meaning under the meaning kind of thing.
Sure. Now, if we were doing something like that, I would consider it a long-term skill challenge. You're not going to just spend 3 hours one day listening to someone and figuring out their code. This might be something that you spend a week or two on, meeting with various people, conversing with them, testing things out. So it would be like a mini long-term skill challenge, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so just so you're aware of the time costs of that. But I would say you definitely have the skill to do it, and you have as much time as you want to take. And that will be that, not a problem. But that was just the first idea that you had there, Squee. I kind of interrupted you there while you were in mid thought.
Yeah, hang on. Give me a second. Come back to me.
Okay. Patrick, and Byrne, once again, your character would be in on these planning sessions via the radio, so don't feel that you shouldn't contribute, because you're very much a part of this, obviously. You have your own routes into this that you can work on, but don't feel. I also want to make it very clear that I want to encourage you guys to think outside the box, try some things. Because don't feel that like, oh, I have this in as Crazy Eyes, I have to just do that. You know what I mean? I have no interest in pigeonholing you. You do have this opportunity. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to place it on the table. I want to kill Crazy Eyes.
Well, Crazy Eyes. Oh, you want to arrange that he dies? Okay.
Yes.
I was about to say,
I want
Crazy
to
Eyes is already dead.
Well, yeah. I basically want to go. Okay, tell Bailey that to release to release it to the public and say that he was found in an alley with his brains or with his head smashed in with a bottle or something like that. Okay. Like some kind of head trauma.
All right.
Because I went through all of this, and then it might cause some tension between at least Quiet Sun and Cal, which would be really neat. And also, I am concerned because all of the transformation spells, or the whatever you call them, the illusion spells, yes, all of them have had very limited time. And it is very likely that if I actually do go ahead and be the Inside Man, I will have to be there for a very, very long time.
This is true. Yeah, you know what? These things that you're inferring, you're doing a great job paying attention to the details, especially over these long periods of times where we haven't been playing. Because you're right, the Fellowship and of course during this call, McFadden's uncle, give me a moment, Brother Colton, does agree, and you know this because you spent so much time at the Followers of the Pure Heart, that their illusionary magic that they use takes great personal reserves of mystical energy, concentration, and it doesn't last for a super long time. The most you've ever gotten was 8 hours, and even then seemed very draining on the brothers and sisters. And they mentioned before that they're really trying to focus their energy and their time on meditation and insight is to this whole great danger problem that seems to be facing Leafs, Tolkien, and even beyond, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to decipher clues, and every time you do an illusionary thing, takes some of that resource away, right?
Yeah.
And that's not to say the followers won't do that, but obviously they're there to assist you, to provide sanctuary and advice. But
Mm-hmm.
still, you're right. The illusionary magic only lasts for so long, and eventually you would get into a position where it might fade away, right? Or
Yeah,
it would make
exactly.
you act suspicious. So when you suggest this idea over the radio, McFadden at first, we're going to just say this narratively speaking, but McFadden at first will first balk at the idea that, this is a fantastic opportunity to masquerade as someone else and a great way to get information. But when you throw in those two main things, the limitedness of the illusionary magic, and more importantly, that Crazy Eyes' death might cause a rift and instability in the black market in which you could later exploit,
Mm-hmm.
she soon changes her tune. Not changes her tune, but she comes to appreciate the potential strategic wisdom in that and relents and thinks that it would be a fine idea. As long as everyone else does concur, she is willing to discreetly ensure that the body that is still chilling in the local hospital is moved over to a discreet alleyway for the body to be found and
Mm-hmm.
Crazy Eyes' true death to be revealed.
Yeah.
Okay.
He will
So,
make it a note
mhm, mhm.
um to say something with head trauma, something hitting his head.
They will say very clearly, if you saw the condition this man was in, the fake bandages that we put around your head and your neck was just uh, a sliver of the actual damage he sustained. Um, it is very grisly. Don't worry, he will have significant damage to his cranium. It is already there. There's no need to manufacture it.
Okay, fair
Alan would
enough.
actually ask. He would say, because I'm assuming that this would be discussed during like one of our
Yep,
conversations, right?
Oh yeah.
precisely.
I would say, do we have any information on Quiet Sun and her gang, specifically maybe ways that they punish or kill people?
Bailey McFadden will she'll have to she'll mention that she'll have to do some research, and on the following day she would come back with this information. The knowledge about, until this moment they didn't have all the names that you gave them. They had heard the code name Quiet Sun before, but they didn't think it was an actual person's name. They thought, in fact, it was a code name for a new brand of drugs that they were manufacturing. They know a large amount of low-level dealers and higher-level lieutenants, but other than that, the leadership, which is Quiet Sun's crew, was not explicitly known until your own confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
However, that is not to say the Tolkien Police Department is without any sort of intelligence or knowledge. They do know, especially for the past year, over the past year, there has been a slow flare-ups of gang activity, clearly two rival crews, the Yellow Wolverine crew and this black market. But at the time, they didn't even know it was the black market. Had been feuding considerably. And many yellow wolverines were found with their tongues cut out and their eyes poked out. And they thought that it was at first an internal power grab, but it was clearly an exterior force doing that. She says, now, there are minor drug problems, minor drug abilities, especially in the poorer areas. But if you're looking for a modus of death, that is our best guess. It
That
might be Quiet Sun and his crew, and might be someone else. But if I were willing to bet money, I would say it was the Black Market Yellow Sun crew warring with the Yellow Wolverines from time to time, and those dead bodies of the Yellow Wolverines were probably Quiet Sun, she says. Quiet, no tongue.
Makes sense. And you know what? Even if it's not her and maybe it's another group, it would still sow discord.
It sure
I mean,
would.
imagine the chaos it would cause if he thinks Quiet Sun's the bad guy, and all of a sudden another group of his seem to have killed Crazy Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Okay.
This sounds great.
Oh, dude, I love this idea.
Yup.
So Bailey will want to clarify, and I, as the GM, also want to clarify. So do you want them to remove the tongue and the eyes from Crazy Eyes' real corpse?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. They can arrange to have that done, although Brother Colton is not... He shows verbal distaste at the idea of disfiguring a body, but his concerns are more philosophical, and they do not hamper anybody. He just, from time to time, says small remarks about the limits of one's ethics when fighting evil and such things like that.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. So step one in your plan, and so that is put into motion, of course, right? Now, do you guys want to allow that to happen and then sit back and see what happens, see what might see if anything is going to stir the pot, and take a passive role and wait to see if anyone approaches you? Or do you want to stir the pot and take a more active role? Piph mentioned taking on a small job, either for Quiet Sun or some of the other bosses. Keep your ear to the street and become an active participant and assistant in the black market. Is that something you want to do as well once around the time that maybe Al is gathering intelligence and figuring out their lingo, a possible code, and while the revelation that Crazy Eyes has been murdered? So I guess my question is, do you want to take an active or passive role in engaging the black market during this tumultuous time?
So, I'm going to take option 3.
Okay.
Which is?
Great. I love option 3. I never see option 3 coming.
So I'm going to take an active approach, but there's a lot of... We've been told not to be involved, for one, and we can try to weasel her in and out of being able to get information but not actually do anything, but that's a little risky.
Sure, yes it is, yeah.
So what isn't risky is what has already happened. Now, we don't know all of the details and things like that, but through investigation, as well as now having actual knowledge about methodology, people's weaponries, things like that, like that nice uncle man who drew his weapon on his nephew, we know what he uses. So
yes.
Past accidents or things that may have gone unnoticed, we can now go through that data and figure out how it gets connected with the black market.
Oh my goodness. That is
Wow.
rather clever. That is rather clever.
So while Al's trying to learn their lingo, Patrick's looking for patterns with the new information we have?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Dude, that's great.
I love it.
What I like about that, too, is it allows us to stay in eyesight, so it doesn't look like we're avoiding anyone, but also stay back long enough to let whatever is taking place percolate a little bit.
Yep.
Exactly, because you're just people from Ishpeming, special VIPs that have become slightly friendly with Cal's crew because of the solving the Cybernite problem, right? You're far from being blood brothers. That's for darn sure. So this is a very wise approach. Okay. So how about we we'll this is going to be a little strange, but how about we blow through 2 weeks? All right. And during these 2 weeks, we're going to do some skill checks. I'm going to give new information. You guys can make decisions, but we're going to be a very malleable period, right? So we're going to go by like week 1 and week 2, if that's okay by you guys. Now, during your character's downtime, because this is clearly what it is, your characters can be doing other things as well. So if you still want to like learn some new spells on your off time, feel free to do so. I know Tom might want to do some more investigation into techno wizardry devices. Now, it's still going to be a few more weeks after this 2-week period that Patrick's little bubble vehicle is going to be ready, and that's going to be a whole other different side thing as well. So don't you worry about that.
Yes.
But let's deal with this black market stuff if that works by you. So we're going to have a skill challenge for Al. We're going to have a fun little skill challenge for Patrick. Now, Byrne, I don't want to leave you out of this completely.
Yeah.
Is there... we know the resources that the Fellowship of the Pure Heart can provide. Do we want to just take a quick look at your skills and see if we can't garner some sort of skill check that you could do to assist? Throw in your weight? Are you willing to do that?
This plan?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let me look at your character sheet.
And Inferno, heads up too. Since I'm on my laptop, I don't have my character sheet, unfortunately.
Oh, well, luckily I do.
Yeah.
Do you want me to send it to you via Dropbox or something, or do you want me just to look at it and tell you what your percentages are?
No, you can just send it to me. It'll save you time.
Okay, let me open up my Dropbox then and put in Squee's character. Copy of it at least. See, this is what's handy with giving your DM a character sheet, because not only can he reference stuff himself, but when we're out of town, then we can do stuff. All right, I'm going to send it to you via Skype. Where are you, Squee? There you are.
Thank you.
Boop. Okay, so now let's look at Byrne's character. Let's look at some of the skills that we could perhaps use. And we can be really creative about this too, right? And if there's not something that you can explicitly do, there might be something that you could do to assist Al or Patrick remotely.
Yeah.
So let's see. If pilot motorcycle
Another question that I have during this is like over the span of several weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah. Would Tom, quote unquote, have been released?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
I will get to that. That's going to be part of the weekly or the daily updates as to how things progress in Tolkien.
Sounds good. Honestly, I don't see much.
I do not see much. You have a lot of skills for a lot of reasons, but the only thing I can think of is a few things that could assist the other two.
Yeah.
For example, we could use your basic mathematics skill to because for example, Patrick's going to have to disseminate a lot of information, right? A lot of data and create links, and he might not have the time, and August won't be available. He might need someone to do a bunch of basic calculations for him and then come back the next day and that sort of thing to kind of save him some time. So that's something that you could do. I'm seeing you have a pretty high prowl check. Yeah. What you could do is that the followers of the Pure Heart could give you an illusionary spell, an illusionary mask, for lack of a better word, for 1 or 2 hours. And what you could do is prowl around the streets, kind of go around where Al would be and be a new set of ears to listen to new conversations. Write down some key phrases, and we would use your prowl check to be inconspicuous in doing something like that. Yeah. And then report to Al and maybe give him more information to draw from. In fact, you could probably do both things on your free time if you're interested in that. And if you assist doing that, I'll be giving a bonus to both Al and Patrick's skill checks. What do you think about that?
That sounds perfect.
Okay. So the amount of bonus that you're going to get directly... You know what? No. I'm going to tie you in to both their skill checks. Give you a more active role rather than just having something really generic and stale. So Okay, so if you guys are ready, actually, give me a moment before we get on to this next little phase here. I'm going to grab myself a quick bathroom break and grab a drink of water, and I'll be right back.
I'll be right back as well.
Great.
Piph, entertain the people.
Squee, don't do anything.
I'm on it.
So people, and so I've been actually really in. You know what, Squee? You know what? You
If
can be in this
I failed you.
Yeah, I know. You can be in this conversation too, because I'm going to talk a little bit about Final Fantasy X. I've actually been having a pretty good time with it. But I gotta say,
just so I'm clear, not Final Fantasy 9,
not 9, no,
not 11,
definitely not 11. 11's like a freaking MMO.
but 10.
Yes.
You're gonna talk about
not 10-2 either. 10.
Well, yeah, because there isn't a star player as Anakin Apes in that one.
Yes, there is, Queen.
As far as I don't know a whole lot about that game. But as far as I know, he's kind of like what you're looking for. I don't know.
Like a hound dog.
So maybe he's in there. You know what? I don't know what I'm talking about. I know almost nothing about
They're
that
trying to find him. Probably not there.
What's up?
Probably left a number or something.
We're talking.
We're trying to find the star players as Anakin Apes. Don't worry.
Very important.
Oh my god, you guys.
Freaking Squee, I just started fighting the freaking Omega weapon. You know that thing in the Omega dungeon?
Oh yeah, no, I beat him eventually.
It was funny because I first went up to him, I'm like, oh god, I saw a little bit of information about him. He's at like 1,000,000 HP. He's gonna freaking kick my ass. I started freaking. I think I dealt more than half of his HP in one attack. I'm like, oh, well, never mind.
I do remember like the first time I fought him, I died horribly, and then I went back and got all the ultimate weapons and did a bunch of stuff like dodge lightning 200 times in a row, and then when I came back the second time, it was on.
Yes. I use Waga. He hits hard. It's very, very hard. Waka. It's freaking. He can throw so many of those freaking razor blade balls.
So we'll wait till Byrne gets back before we get in on all
Hello?
this. Hi, Byrne.
Jeez. Okay, yeah.
Okay, well, there we go. So we'll do. We'll do the skill challenges first, all right? Before I go over, developments of everything like that. No, wait a second. We'll do each skill check separately, but both will pass through the few weeks because things might happen in the week. So who wants to go first? Do we want to do Al's skill check first, or do we want to do Patrick's skill check first?
I don't have a preference one way or the other.
Okay, well, let's start with Al's then.
Okay.
Yay.
All right, so Al, the objective of this skill check is to first identify and decipher any sort of special code or slang that members of the black market use to communicate with each other. And the goal is to have a working understanding of this code by the end of week 2. Are we agreed on that?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so looking at your character sheet, I can see 3 primary skills that would be used in assisting in this. I see intelligence, I see prowl, and I see concealment. Intelligence is really disseminating, identifying individuals, and understanding, and doing the hard work of trying to decipher the code. Okay. Now, it's not going to be as effective if you had cryptology, for example, but it's still going to assist you in that task. The prowl and the concealment is going to help with the gathering the information part. So intelligence is disseminating the information. Prowl and concealment is gathering the information. Make sense?
Yes, may I make some arguments for because I kind of looked at it slightly differently.
Sure, yeah, of course. This is a give and take situation.
Okay, so the overall concept, I'm completely on board with you. I think like
Right.
intelligence might be the last skill that's used to put everything together or
Sure.
not.
Yeah.
My thought was instead of trying to do it sneakily through prowl or concealment,
Okay.
I was thinking of going another route, which was to put myself in situations where I'm talking to members of the gang and I make them maybe want to talk to each other in ways that maybe I don't see what's
Use your
going on.
trust skill.
Well, not just my trust, but also okay, like this one. I was thinking, find a position or a situation I'm in where I'm talking to them, and I start talking something that makes no sense to them, like mathematics or something that makes them go, "Is this guy for real?" And kind of see if I can get them to start talking to each other in front of me, so that they're trying to conceal what they're really saying without that's the kind of the idea I was looking at. But yes, and the trust would be the other one.
Okay, all right, okay, sure, sure, sure. So instead of trying to overhear the conversations, you want to directly engage with them and compel them to speak about you amongst themselves.
Right, because while
In front of you, and in order to speak about you in front of you, they'd have to use either a different language or a code. Okay,
right,
I see. So,
because my thought behind it is that the other path, because I considered that path, there's a lot of chance of getting caught
pissing
in
people
looking with
off. Yeah.
exactly,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, is it all right because Tom's skill set isn't really that strong? He can maybe do the overhearing part, so you guys are doing this a two-pronged way, where Tom is kind of just trying to be inconspicuous and picking up a few bits of information here and there, a few phrases that you might overhear in conversation. Give it to you while you take a more direct engage approach. Is that a fair thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, wonderful. So you have a two-pronged approach, which is great. So we don't really have a skill check for the idea that you have, but that's fine. I'm still going to give it a percentage based on what you say and based on your ideas. And I think your mental affinity, your charisma, for lack of a better word, of that high 23, and your trust intimidate being a stunning 75%, we're going to use that route there as the core of your intel gathering, and once again your intelligence skill to disseminate the information. Okay, so we have a general outline. All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to do 2 skill checks a week, and the amount you succeed or fail by depends on how fast you can get this information going, because the objective is to understand the base code by the end of 2 weeks. All right, so if we're going to do 4 checks, this is going to be a bit of a challenge, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to need 3 successes before you get 2 failures. Okay? Make sense?
Yes.
So 3 successes before 2 failures, and you're going to have 4 shots, so 4 rolls. Okay? So I guess you could say 3 successes before 1 failure, but I like to give you a bit of a leeway, right? Because if we have to extend it another week or 2, then your characters have the option to. All right. So before the first skill check happens, this will be a few days after your initial meetings. I want to decide what to do. Major news of note, of course, is that, and this is what's really getting people talking, Al, as you approach them, and Tom, as you're under the guise of a civilian, you can hear the big buzz. And the big buzz is that Crazy Eyes was found dead with his tongue cut out and his eyes poked out. And there are a variety of theories as to why this is happening. You're mostly talking to, initially at this first phase, you're talking, engaging not with the big bosses or the head crew members that you met during Cal's party. These are more words on the street of people who work for the crew members, maybe even people who work for them. You know what I mean? We're talking about very street level amount of stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom, first I would like you to roll me a prowl check. There's going to be no modifier, positive or negative, because these guys are very distracted talking amongst themselves.
Okay.
Let me know how much you succeed or fail by.
I succeed by 33.
That is fantastic. So, Al, for your checks, it's going to be easier by 33.
Oh my god.
When I said you were going to be assistant, you're going to be a big assist. Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Okay. And did you want me to use the 75 as the base?
I'll tell you what to use as a base.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. How about
I'll
just
putting things
roll.
up. I'm setting things up here. So, hold up before you roll. So yeah, and now Al, you of course are engaging with some of these people, talking to them, introducing yourself. We don't need to role play the conversations. We know what your tactic is. So, talking to someone right off the street, and they might know you're kind of connected, that you're mighty safe with. They're a little trepidous, right? So you're going to go with a base instead of 75%. Your base is going to be 60%, but you got a 33% bonus thanks to Tom. So really, your skill that you need to get under is 93.
Got it.
Got it? Because 60 plus 33, 93. So roll D100. You got, okay.
Oh my god.
You got really good. So that counts as a big success. That is a success. You have now gathered some information. I can be a little bit more specific here to kind of color the world. Al, you and Tom target the southeastern district of Tolkien, an area that is actually relatively well known to you. It was in that park where the Cyber Knight had his faked death. It's nearby the area in which the Cyber Knight's friend was abducted from. So a lot of these members, in fact, do you remember the two ratty-looking fellows that were in the warehouse that brought in the injured person to Cal?
Yes. Yeah.
We're going to say it's them, in fact, that you managed to talk with. They know you, after all. They know you're tight with Cal. And, you say a few things, and they think it's awfully weird, the way you're speaking, like you're trying to communicate to them. And after a few sidelong glances, one of them very boldly says to another, and it's a clear dialect. It is English. It is an American, for lack of a better word. But, and you know the words, but for lack of a better description, do you know anything about Cockney slang, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And how Cockneys have rhyming slang?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if I say my feet hurt, I would say my plates are aching me, because plates of meat rhymes with feet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or we're going to get into serious Barney. Barney Rubble rhymes with trouble.
Yeah.
They're using rhyming slang. Al has been able to identify that. However, he's had a very limited exposure to it by just these guys, but you got a great foundation, a fantastic foundation.
All right.
Okay. Now, we're going to say this is near the end of the week now, and an important event happens. August, Alicia, Blink, and Bear return. All your goods were acquired, and they're on the behemoth. It was down to a T, down to the very E-clip. The Ishpeming black market was able to reacquire for you, and it is all there.
Damn.
In addition, August had I rolled a skill check for him. He had some relatively good success. He initially proposed that he could make about 4 or 5 of these microphone devices. He's only been able to make 3. However, the good news is that the specifications, his bold proclamations that they could make a pin drop within 40 feet, is extremely accurate. These things are threaded in so well into your hair. The microphone is so small, and the data recording is something that can be hidden in the big mess behind the back of your head and your hair, that Al is able to, if he chooses to, Al and Tom can both. You would meet up and drop one off to Tom if necessary, right? That wouldn't be too problem. We don't need to role play that. But if both Al and Tom were to use these new devices from Tom and record some of the things that they listen to and talk to, and later Al can review it, it will give you a significant bonus to your skill. Work for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
All right. So I just want to make sure you're willing to do it because I don't want to force you to do that, right? All right. So armed with this new bit of tech, we're going to do another skill check. This is still, you're not disseminating. This is going to be both gathering and disseminating, right? So this is going to count. You're going to do 2 skill checks, but the result of those is going to be considered a failure or a success. You know what I mean? So, so first and foremost, let's do once again, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
I would like you to once again roll me a prowl check. This time, make it easier by 10.
Oh, jeez. Okay. I succeed by 22%.
Okay. So, Al, your next check is going to be better than 22. However, it's really only going to be a 2% bonus because it's going to be harder by 20% because now you've been able this is very fortuitous for you. A mid-level member, a lieutenant, more specifically, this isn't going to be one of Cal's crew. This is actually going to be one of Lily's crew. This is a person who works for Kylie the Professional. Kylie the Professional is one of the major crew members of Lily's crew. They specialize in fraud and theft. And this person, Alcaz the Silent, is a DB, by the way. A 3-eyed, orange-skinned, humanoid DB. And the Silent nickname is ironic. This fellow is one of the most talkative people you've ever been able to converse with. And this minus 20 isn't because he doesn't want to tell you anything. It's because his rhyming slang is so fast when he's conversing with other people about you, it's kind of hard to catch, right? And in fact, you don't even know if the recording is going to be able to pick it up so much because this guy is just talking so fast, okay? But you still get a 2% bonus thanks to Tom's good skill check. So we're going to once again use your base 75%, add 2%. So now what you want to roll under is 77. Sound good?
Sure. Doesn't.
All right. Roll them bones. Okay. That's a great success. So now later on, after you manage to acquire this information, this recording, you're able to retrieve Tom's recording. Once again, he'll drop off the microphone for you to retrieve. And now you're back at the safe house, all right? And you have your personal, because you own a personal computer, don't you?
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
You do? So you're at your personal computer. August has shown you how to offload the data, and you're analyzing the very, very fast, rapid slang of Alcaz the Silent, okay? Luckily, what Tom managed to pick up was someone, once again, using that rhyming slang, but it was much slower, right? So you're kind of using that as a reference, all right? So because of August's recording device and because Tom succeeded so well, I want you to do your intelligence roll. I would like you to make it easier by 15%. And let me know how much you succeed by.
Okay, hang on. I succeed. I rolled a 2.
Oh my God. Okay, so by the end of the first week, Al, I'll use this in simple terms. Imagine a dictionary of terms that the black market is using in their lexicon for their code speech. You believe you've deciphered up to between 60 and 70% of it already. If you just need a few more encounters to solidify and reinforce the data that you've gotten. But if things continue like this, you will have cracked this code. Okay?
Alrighty.
All right. So let's go on to next week. Next week, you actually get to have a bit of a meeting. You managed to do your own connections because you're lying back. You probably show up with a confident heart. Maybe talk to Georgette Quartet a few times, using your other your spycraft skills that you were originally trained in. You managed to get yourself a small lunch meeting with Chuck Charles. You might remember is one of Proposition Cal's main guys, the one who kind of took you on the tour and the introductions at Cal's birthday party. He wants to have lunch with you. And sure enough, is it fair to say that maybe you try out some of this rhyming slang now with him? Or do you not want to show your hand?
No, I wouldn't want to show my hand.
Okay. So instead you come up with a creative way. If you can if you can think of something, feel free to. But we can just say, for the sake of this skill check, you come up with a creative way to incite him to say a few terms, right? Or get him talking about, the crew that he runs, and cajole him into using terms he wouldn't otherwise do so. Is that fair enough? Hopefully that's not too generic for you.
No, hang on. Just give me 1 second.
Sure. Well, here, we'll have you think for a moment, and
Sure.
I'll have Tom do his part in assisting you. Now, Tom, you won't be at this lunch meeting. It's far too risky, right, to be in the same room as all this.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, you'll probably hit the street once again, conceal, and you'll probably find some low-level members of Haha's crew. You've been able to learn, actually, thanks to Al communicating with you, or perhaps maybe what Patrick is doing. We'll see how Patrick does, but we'll bleed this into it. You hear rumors of a cyber chop shop, an unregulated one that's probably run by someone connected to Haha. So you decide to hang out there for a couple hours using your illusionary guard and see if you can't pick up any more of this slang that, for lack of a better word, these criminal locals might be using. Now, once again, I'm going to have you do prowl. We're going to say, for the sake of this, you haven't been able to get August Recorder back delivered to you yet. Mm-hmm. So you're just going based on your ears and your memory. So base skill, no bonuses, no penalties.
Okay, so just a D100.
D100, you bet.
57.
And what you succeed or fail by?
Is this for prowl?
Yeah, it's prowl. Yeah, you're being inconspicuous trying to blend.
By 30.
You succeed by 30?
Yes.
Great. So that will give Al a significant bonus, which is really good because he'll have a penalty of about 25% because he's talking with Charles head on. So this is a much more challenging situation for him. But Al, have you come up with any ideas, any strategies, or anything like that? Okay, great.
My memory isn't failing me, right? Charles was the one that was showing us around at the party, right?
Yes.
Exactly. The one who pissed August so much he was making fun of him and hitting on
that's
me.
what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So Al's going to try and entice him to speak in code to his friends by talking about August, as if it's no thing, but bringing up this about August and that about August to try and goad a response out of Charlie, like, oh God, that guy, kind of thing with his friends.
I like that a lot. Because of that creativity, I'm going to give you another 10% bonus here. So instead of only having a 5% bonus to your skill check, I'm going to give you a 15, which probably brings you up to like a 90% chance of success, right?
Yes, if my math does not fail me.
Yeah, 75 plus 15 is 90, yes. So go ahead and roll it. So you have Tom and your own creativity to thank to give you these bonuses, by the way.
Thank you, Tom, and screw you, creativity. We have words.
Now you're going to roll the dice and you're going to fail now. I hope you're happy.
A 1?
See? See, I predicted it. Do not fuck with God. You're lucky I gave you the one failure.
My God, Squee.
Well,
Why?
so unfortunately, this is going to count as a failure. And we're going to say... Mm-hmm.
I'm a little confused, though. So, because I've rolled... Was it 3 successes? Because I've rolled 3 successes so far.
No, I remember, but I said the last ones. Since you're... The two, the gathering
The
counted
last
as
one's just
one.
compiling. Got it.
I'm compiling them as one. So we're at 3 of 4 right now. You failed 3 of 4, but that's okay. You're going to get another shot, okay? So we're going to say that you bringing up August was a huge mistake. Charles doesn't want to talk about that. All he does is bitch to you in perfect American. He doesn't talk to his friends, his cronies that he's with. He bitches to you, and he asks what the hell a girl like Mila sees in such a little pipsqueak like him. And then he gets agitated enough. He asks you, why do you even have him around? He doesn't seem tough. He doesn't seem anything. He seems like a complete and utter know-it-all loser. No, he wouldn't say know-it-all. He doesn't know August. A geeky loser, right? And he actually goes so far as to think that he is probably a liability in the crew. And if you ever had to make some quick cuts, he would be the first one who deserves a bullet in his head. So suffice to say, you weren't able to get anything from him. Although you didn't, he's not angry at you. Your objective completely failed. Completely failed.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, then we're going to go near the end of the week in your final check. Okay? And this is mostly going to be now disseminating information. You've done all the gathering that you can, and unfortunately, you weren't able to get anything new from Charles, from Chucky. But that's okay. You still have that 75% base, and you think that with Tom getting a little bit more information, you'll be able to piece together with the remaining 25%. So this last check is just going to be your intelligence roll, okay? And that is going to be dependent, modified by how well Tom does in gathering the last little bit of information. Sound fair?
Sure, sounds
good. All right, so Tom, you're going to hang out at the Confident Heart for a little while. You know that's a known, likable place of the black market. It's the best place you're going to get to hear any sort of pickup of any sort of slang, okay, any sort of code.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be nursing a beer. Once again, I'll have you use Prowl to stay inconspicuous. Once again, though, you're going to be able to have August's mic that's been able to drop off to you in time. And before I have you roll the skill check, I want to make note that even the information that you do manage to pick up that isn't in code, you're definitely getting the sense that there is significant tensions within the organization. In fact, there are rumors of a potential, they call it a civil problem.
I see.
So go ahead and roll that prowl check. Let me know how much you succeed or fail by.
Okay. I succeed by 20.
Okay. So Al, you will get a 20% bonus to your intelligence check as you are getting the last bit of information here and you're piecing together this dictionary of black market code words. So go ahead and roll it. Okay. All you needed was a success. At this point, it didn't matter how much you succeeded or failed by. So once again, we want to thank Tom for being so helpful because if he wasn't, you probably would have failed that, right?
Yes, actually. Thank you, Tom.
There you go. So by the end of week 2, you have met your objectives. You now have a for lack of a better word, on your computer and even in your mind. Much of especially the common phrases, are now memorized to you because you've heard them so much. They've played back over and over and over again, thanks to August's recordings. You know this code word. If they use anything in your presence, or if you manage to record anything, or get access to previous conversations and they use this code word, you're able to decipher it. Once this is brought to Bailey McFadden and the rest of the allies in facing this, Bailey is absolutely ecstatic. She mentions that if you worked for the Tolkien Police Department or the Supernatural Division, that this in itself would raise you to captain quickly. And this resource is incredibly invaluable. So, with that success in mind, is it all right if we move over to Patrick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so great job. Congratulations.
Thank
So,
you.
Piph, are you there?
Yes, I am
Okay.
here.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you were unmuted here. Okay. So, obviously you'll learn of Al's successes as your weeks tick by, or as your days week tick by. I do like to define a specific goal. I find it really handy in order to let you know whether you succeed or fail by. So, if I know correctly, your goal is to gather information based on clues and using your skills, like for example, the gun that Haha used, right? You want to hunt down and probably have Bailey provide you some resources in which you can link patterns in which that weapon was used in the past 3 years or something like that, and create localized hotspots of gang activity.
Something like that. Yes.
Okay, so why don't you define it a little bit better for me, so we can figure things out.
That is definitely a thing that would be invaluable information, patterns, and things like that.
Okay.
Also, being able to, if we're looking for specifically the main goal is to actually have something soundproof. They've already made a whole bunch of crimes previously.
Yes.
And the smoking gun's already there. We just have to link it to them, basically.
Yeah, very true. Yeah. So, now are you talking about like the murder of
Yes.
of Michelle? No,
Oh
wait, let me
my god.
Okay. So so the objective, let me just double check here for a moment. Yeah, give me one more moment here. I just want to make sure I have the victim's name right. It has been a while. Game sessions. I have it in a different document. Yeah, Michelle Schwartzman. So you want to provide evidence and linking the death of Michelle Schwartzman and John Gahn. He was the person who had his arm chopped off. He also supposedly died as well because no one's heard from him again. And Michelle Schwartzman. So your objective is to find irrefutable proof of Cal and his crew murdering those two people.
Either that, because I would really like that for one thing. Like that would be a goal that I would like to do.
Okay.
Or basically work with a lot of cold cases through the department and basically like figure out basically gather information on the floor as well as the police department to figure out like
What why not we do both? We can do both. All right. So now let's look at some of the skills that you have that we would be using in this skill check. This kind of skill challenge, for lack of a better word. I'm opening up your character sheet now.
Oh,
If
you're
you
gonna
haven't,
love him.
well, why don't you just start listing them off for me? What you're thinking of.
All right. General criminal activity. It looks like they seem to like to burn things down, so
Yeah.
a chemical sort of basis might actually help out with such things.
Yeah, it would. It would.
I really am kind of short on weaponry, so I'd probably have to pool on that, but I do have a particular knowledge of bolt action rifles.
You do, yeah.
I also have. I'm waiting for the last one, but I'm sorry, I have to say it now.
Sure.
I have a skill specifically called criminal sciences and forensics.
Yeah, that's gonna help a fuck ton.
Um,
Oh my god.
different levels of course, the chemistry of
chemistry analytical. Yeah.
of
Exactly.
like the biology of people, knowing how they died and things like that.
Okay.
Let's see, streetwise might actually help out with any sort of foggy information. Let's see. I don't think cryptology would be too useful, but it may show up.
It would be really handy helping out Al, but he's doing his own thing, right?
Right. Absolutely. Sadly, there's no electronics, so a good portion of mine is not really going to work.
Okay. So this is what I'm thinking. We're going to have you go through, like you said, cold cases, find patterns, and you're going to be doing that for 2 weeks. And in the end result will be this: if you have a modest amount of success, you'll be able to link some old crimes to known faces in the black market. If you have a large amount of success, not only will you crack and break at least half a dozen cold cases, but you'll have enough information to completely link the murder of Michelle Schwartzman and John Gahn to Cal and his crew. Sound fair?
Sounds great.
So let me open up my notepad because I want to write this down. So we have the rules very clear. So we're going to have you do a total of 6 skill checks. I'm not going to make the same mistake as I did with Squee and Burn and combine 2 into 1. That's too confusing. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to have you do 6 skill checks. So 6 rolls. All right.
Okay.
Now, out of those 6 rolls, a modest success is 3 successes. A great success is 5 successes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sound fair?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, there's going to be, once again, very similar to to Al and Tom there. Tom's going to be able to give you some assist by crunching some numbers for you, although his bonuses aren't going to be as great as when he helped with Al. Because there are a lot of skills here that you have that just don't cross over to him, but his basic math will be able to assist you without question. So, Tom, I'll have you roll a few. Actually, you know what, Tom, for this time around, I'm going to have you just do a one-time skill, okay?
Sure.
So I'd like you to do basic math, and I'd like you to make it harder by 25%.
By 25.
Mm-hmm. And let me know, then roll the skill check. Let me know how much you succeed or fail by.
I fail by 1%.
Okay, 1% isn't that bad.
Damn.
So, no, that's all right. A 1% failure is not much worse than a 1% success. You know, I mean, that's why, for me at least, how much you succeed or fail by colors things. So, throughout this time, perhaps Tom, you're not able to do any extra work for Patrick. He's able to give you some give you some numbers to crunch, some data to crunch, multiplication, division, fractions, that whole thing, right? You're able to do that. You know how to do that, okay? Unfortunately, maybe because you're spending so much time with Al, you're not able to do any additional work to help Patrick. And when it comes back, there are you make a few mistakes that Patrick has to fix on his own. But in the end, you do provide an assistance to Patrick, which will give Patrick, Piph, all the skills that you're going to be rolling, you will have a 5% bonus to.
Okay.
Okay. So now that we have Tom's assistance out of the way, let's start with the 3 during the first week. So until you have access to the behemoth, any scientific analytical work that you have to do, it's going to be difficult because you're only going to do, for lack of a better word, for a lack of a better word, field studies, right? You don't have a lab, you don't have a workstation to work with. Not until August and Bear and Alicia and Blank come back, all right? So you can choose to do those field studies now, or you can do some more of the analytical work, the criminology work beforehand. What would you prefer?
I wish I knew the difference between those two things.
Okay. Well, let me help you out then. Let me help you out with that. Okay. Typically, it's easier to gather the raw data first and then piece together patterns from that. If you're trying to piece together its patterns first, it's like building a house first and then the foundation. It's not impossible, it's just a lot harder.
Right.
So you're really weighing two decisions. Make it a little bit harder off the get-go so it's easier down the road, or making it a little easier and off the get-go and harder down the road.
I'm going to say harder now, easier later.
Okay, great. All right, not a problem. So we'll start with the first 3. So the first week is you gathering raw data. Okay, so we're going to have you do an analytical chemistry for the arson thing. We're going to have you do your WP bolt action rifle for another one. And we're going to have you do just a flat non-analytical chemistry. All right?
Okay.
So Tom gives you a 5% bonus to all of these. But not having a lab to do your analysis is going to give you a 10% penalty. So really, you have a -5 to all of these. Okay? All right. Now, since you're doing this field research, you don't need any cold case data from the Tolkien Police Department just yet, which is good because Bailey not only needs to get the information that you need, but her and a small group of people that she trusts have to drop it off to you extremely inconspicuously, because the black market cannot know that you're working with the police. Agreed?
Yes.
So because you're doing the analytical stuff first and giving her time to accumulate the data, you're going to have a lot easier time doing your analysis part of your criminal sciences and your cryptology and all that good stuff. Okay? Right. So let's do the first check first. All right? Let's do chemistry analytical. Once again, you have to make it harder by 5%. And let me know how much you succeed or fail by. I know.
These are going to be pitiful numbers in comparison to...
I know. You still succeed. So 17. That's one success. Great. Good job. So Now we're going to have you do your bolt action rifle. This is kind of like ballistics evidence. Okay.
Mhm.
Now we're going to be using the same skill check you used to. There's a percentage skill check, I believe it gives you when you need to how to repair stuff like that. I know like ballistics is really for criminal sciences and forensic. I'm not stupid,
Mhm.
but you need to get the raw data first, right? And
Right.
we're just you suggested that skill, so we're going to use it.
Okay. So should I use either? Since fixing weapons is usually a weapon engineer, but there's also the weapon quality bolt action. Which
What's
one would
the
you?
percentage of the weapon? Let's do weapons engineer. That's a lot better, frankly. And frankly, I think that pertains more to it.
Okay.
So let's do weapons engineer, although you're not using it exactly for the reason it's meant to. So instead of a -5 penalty, I'm going to give you a -15 penalty.
Ouch. All right.
I know. But weapons engineer is more how weapons work, not really gathering ballistics evidence, right?
So
Instead of 86%, you'll need to get a 71. It's 89%, so 74%.
Yeah.
You succeed. All right. And then finally, we're going to do your base chemistry. So this is going to be, I'm going to say like your analysis, your analytical chemistry was like going to that burned warehouse and, gathering some trace evidence of possible accelerants and stuff like that. This chemistry role will be for miscellaneous bits. This is actually, what I'm going to do is you can either do chemistry or biology, whatever you want to use. All right. It's still at a -5%, but because you don't have your tools at the behemoth at this point. But to describe this, it's you getting, like almost like DNA evidence. This is more like blood type evidence, saliva, stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay. So which one do you want to use, chemistry or biology?
I did use chemistry on a few things.
You use chemistry analytical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm just trying to I'm piecing everything together so it makes sense
Sure.
for me.
Oh, okay.
So we did use chemistry for a few things, but not specifically this. We used weapons to figure out the weapons, of course. And now we are gathering pieces of people.
Yeah, trace evidence. Yeah, of people.
Trace evidence.
Yeah.
I think that might be more towards biology.
Okay. Great. Makes sense to me. So since it's at 84%, you'll want to get under 79%. Got it. So I'm going to tell you right now, you just did the hard part now. You said you wanted to do the hard part. Now you're going to, because here's the easy part. Not only now has August and the rest of the NPCs returned, and you have the full resources of the behemoth if you feel like you need to, revisit this evidence. But now that you gave Bailey McFadden and the Tolkien Police Department ample time to collect the data that you need to link up cold cases, to link up their investigator notes. Maybe you needed a few days to convince Bailey to give you this information. You know what I mean? Maybe
I
you
was
needed
actually a little worried about that.
Maybe you had to rely on Al, maybe because he's a very persuasive person, or maybe her uncle or the Cyber Knight to spend a few days and to convince her that you're a very smart fellow, everyone's on the same team. And so she's been able to, with this amount of time, you're able to get this information. So now we're going to be in the analysis phase. So this is what I'm thinking. Obviously, we should really highlight your criminal sciences and forensics. So I think we should do 2 of those checks at a bonus, and then your advanced math at its full 98%. Sound good?
Sounds pretty good, yes.
Okay. So because you were patient, because Tom was able to assist you, and because of other miscellaneous bonuses, you're going to get a 30% bonus to your criminal science and forensics. So that's going to bump that 49% to a 79%. So practically an 80% chance of success. Okay. So it's up to you on what order you'd like to do. Whether you want to do your 2 criminals first and then your advanced math, it's up to you. Just declare what you're going to roll for, and we'll check the successes. You just need 2 successes, 2 more successes, and you will have a great success on this.
I'm going to do criminal analytics for this one.
Okay, so you need under 79. Okay, that's 1 success. Now what do you want to do?
Still criminal.
Okay. Okay. Now do advanced math. If you get a perfect score, I'm giving you a bonus, a story bonus, I guess you could say. Look at that. Okay.
Oh my god, that's great.
So, but sorry, unfortunately, I wasn't able to describe much of your process. So I'm going to do that now. Like during the week while you're doing this, unlike when I did with Al and gave him specific circumstances. But I'm going to be a little more detailed in your result.
May I input something?
Yeah, please. This is group storytelling. Go nuts.
So my specific worry to begin with when asking for all these cold cases was the concept of a person coming out of the blue and going like, "Hey, cops, can I do your job?"
Exactly. Of course. People aren't going to mess for that.
Yeah, and I was super worried that like I would just get like stonewalled or like get bad relations with.
No, I'll explain why that didn't happen. First and foremost is that your friends, Cyber Knight Edmund, Al, and her uncle Colton convinced her to release the information. Second of all, these are not active investigations. All the data that you're working on are indeed cold cases, abandoned cases, things that are filed away for later reference. Therefore, since there's no active detective working on them, there's no active detective in which to insult by doing his job for him. Thirdly, you have already proved to be loyal, and you've been proved to be resourceful. And that itself supersedes the possible pride one might have. Fourthly, or lastly, do you have any intention on taking credit and letting Tolkien know that you did the cop's job for them? Do you plan on being discreet?
Good Lord, no. I would not put any information about me being involved in that.
So pretty much, Bailey could take all the credit for this, and you wouldn't mind?
Oh, I would not. Not when I only mind, I would appreciate it.
Well, then there you go. That last little bit is the nail in the coffin. They have absolutely no reason why they should avoid giving you this information. Okay. So, sure enough, due to a few discrete data drops, you and probably Mila maybe would help out with this, or Al when he had some free time, when he wasn't analyzing over the rhyming code of the black market. You're able to retrieve vast amounts of digital data. All this has been digitized, so it's not giant files, of course. It's small thumb drives and hard drives. And first, after you're done collecting the data, going to the warehouse, and other arson sites that are mentioned, old arson sites that are mentioned in some of these cold cases, old areas of known gang violence flare-ups, suspicious murders, especially with the ones with the eyes cut out and the tongues removed. You spend the first week visiting these places, and then since you don't have any resources, you have to do everything using field kits. But you're able to get good data from it. A few times you have to try over again, but your patience definitely pays off in the next phase. 3 years ago, there was a murder of a woman who was rumored to be a prostitute. Her murder was never found. You found out it was Jane the Smile who killed her on orders of one sorry, did I say Jane the Smile?
I think so.
My bad. It was Lily the Smile who killed this prostitute. Lily the Smile, who currently is one of the heads of the black market. She's the one who specializes in fraud and theft. You have irrefutable evidence that it was her. At least, when I say irrefutable evidence, I mean you've been able to link witness testimony and raw physical forensic data. Okay. Mm-hmm. But once again, this is only a moron prosecutor would be able to louse up a trial with the evidence that you provide. So that's the first crime that you're able to figure out. Mm-hmm. There are a string of arsons that you find out that are linked to Cecilia One Eye, which were rival cyber shops that were burnt down for undiscernible reason. Cecilia One Eye works for Haha's crew. She's the Cyclopean individual. You found a series of brutal muggings that were taken place by a black bearded gentleman known as Corbin the Vet, a man who works for Prop Cal's crew. You were able to link a series of muggings and beatings directly to him. You were able to close out 8 cases of pyrotechnic violence due to one Clifton Hugh, also known as Crazy Eyes. Unfortunately, he's dead, but you're able to at least close those cases. Mm-hmm. You're able to link a series. This is getting a little dark, so we're going to just say it varies. Some sexual assaults, we'll just say. Mm-hmm. Some sexual assaults that were done by the Mute brothers who work for Quiet Sun's crew. Series of sexual assaults you were able to bring down. And finally, the pièce de résistance. You've been able to spend your time to disseminate a portfolio of forensic evidence, witness testimony, including your own that you can throw in there, to link, like your own, like anonymously, obviously, mm-hmm. that irrefutably links Proposition Cal, Elia Violet Farley, Charles Chucky Bandos, and Corbin the Vet Mahule. And of course, the big man himself, Proposition Cal Mord, into the murder of Michelle Schwartzman and John Gone. You have succeeded. So now we round up these 2 weeks with your. Go ahead.
May I interject with one thing during the last week?
Sure.
Patrick would ask an odd question to the
Lieutenant Bailey.
Lieutenant, thank you.
Yeah, Bailey McFadden. Sure.
I have some information that might be prevalent, but I need to know some information.
Go ahead.
The bracelets that we were given, are those recollected when leaving the town?
Yes. They're used. Well, not necessarily Tolkien itself, but the barony of Tolkien. There are some small surrounding towns and villages that use the same enforcement procedure.
And are they the same ones then redistributed?
No, they are cataloged. She says, I'll share with you a small secret as to what these things are. I'll have to trust that you do not make it known to public knowledge. But it uses a special metal that attunes itself to certain supernatural powers and changes its molecular structure. If one were to use, for example, Tom's pyrokinetic ability, it would leave, for lack of a better word, a fingerprint, a molecular fingerprint that would be unique to the person using the power and the time in which it is used. So redistributing them would destroy potential evidence. Much of the time when it's used, if we get a blank one, it goes back into rotation, but most of the time people who are issued the bracelets at least use a supernatural power at one time or another. So we catalog them. But she says, go ahead.
What if it came back, better word, if it was defective?
She says defective. We've only had a few defective bracelets come back. Maybe about 2% of all total. If it's defective, there's nothing that we can do with it. We would just junk them.
I have information about the not only do the black market know of what these things are, they're switching out for dummy ones so they can still use their abilities without being marked. Though that would actually still mark them, they would all be wearing
the fraudulent ones.
That's correct. And they're made out of a particular metal. And I would probably tell her the attributes, like if it's can be have electric current as well as magnetism and things like that.
She says, I'll be damned. At the very least, if we can't charge him for anything else, tampering with the identification bracelets is a major offense that can lead up to 5 years in prison. We could scoop up just the rest of them on that.
I would suggest, if you are to act on this, to do it at one time so they're surprised and not scrambling for a solution.
She says, yes, that's the idea. I've conferred with Edmund considerably, and that's the idea. Once we get everything together, we will fall upon them with one fell swoop. On the same day, we'll have our friends in the media broadcast everything that we've accumulated. And by the end of this, by the end of the week, oh boy, what you accumulated for her
oh
is
my
significant.
God. Yeah.
So here's the deal, guys. It's a little anticlimactic in a way, not really. But thanks to your significant successes, well, we just talked about planning a one fell swoop of the black market. That can happen in week 3. Do we want to go through that?
I don't think that's anticlimactic at all. I mean, I kind of like the idea of dismantling the black market from within like that.
Yeah, I like it too. Yep. I like it too. I really, really dig it. So my last question for you before I kind of describe narratively what happens is you guys want nothing. You don't want them to know about this, right? That's the whole point of this. You don't want to piss off the entire black market. You just want to take the Tolkien bastards down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question is, how much involvement do you want to be? Like, obviously, you don't want to be like, hey, guys, I really fucked you over, didn't I? But do you want to be strategically positioned so you can see anything, maybe? Or do you think that's even too much of an exposure? Are you content on reading it in the newspaper or seeing it on the news?
Actually, it would be kind of cool?
What would be cool?
If we strategically place ourselves so that it looks like we were killed in the sting, but maybe we tried to save them or do something so it endears us to the black market that's still left. Like in the other places, like they're like, dude, they tried to protect them. Or something like that. I don't know.
The killing might not be the best idea because if we just show up
and
in
be like, "Why you're still alive?" Right?
Yeah.
That does make it complicated though, because how do we look like heroes and yet still not be arrested or whatever?
Oh, to look like heroes within the black market, and not actually be a hero in the black market.
Actually, now that I think about it, I'd almost rather just distance myself from it and hear about it later. Because
you know what?
That's what I.
Yeah.
How does this sound? Yeah. How about we all just have some hoagies and just see what happens? Because at the very least, they're gonna have to go and get what's her face.
Georgette Quartet.
Yes, they're gonna have to get her. So I mean,
she might just work there. Maybe.
She's at the very least connected, I think.
Honestly, I'd almost rather not even be there. Because here's what I think about it. No one in the greater black market community would really know too much about our involvement with Cal because it's been so short, and we weren't that talked about. So if we aren't there and aren't around, no one in the greater black market community, hopefully, would think we had anything to do with anything whatsoever.
True. Just stay in the safe house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because giving them information about like past deeds and things like that, would that give them information to safe houses?
No, none of your forensic investigation was able to unearth their safe houses. I mean, you know a bunch where their safe houses is, but you don't know their entire safe house network. No.
Yeah.
Just stay at the one we were assigned.
But we've been there for majority of the time.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't look suspicious at all.
At all, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's okay by you, I'll spend this next little while describing what happens if that works for you, and I think that'll be a perfect way to kind of end this session in a nice positive vibe if that works for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So at around at noon, a very gleeful, not gleeful, but a very happy Bailey McFadden, you can tell by the tone of her voice. She says, 3 o'clock this afternoon, tune in to Channel 2. Hopefully you'll like what you see. Hopefully things go well. Now, unfortunately, we have a lot to get going in preparation over here, but I'll have more subtle official thanks to you a little bit later on. Tom and Edmund, of course, at the Fellowship of the Pure Heart, they do not have any televisions there. That is not their part of their shtick. But you will be able to learn this information a little bit later on, and you actually will be reunited with everybody soon enough as well. But heck, we can say even one of the NPCs, or if the PCs, if you want to, you could record the news footage, so Tong can watch it later.
Oh, that'd be great.
That's okay.
That would be pretty neat, yeah.
Okay. We'll say Patrick did that for him.
Thank you.
So, no problem. So at 3 o'clock, there, the local soap opera called Black Hearts But White Minds concludes. You see the rolling credits over a kissing DB couple when finally the screen fades to black, and you hear voiceover saying, Our regularly scheduled program has been rescheduled for tomorrow. Today we bring you exclusive news." And the screen comes up, and you can see a hurried blonde female human shuffling a few papers around on her desk, clearly at a last minute preparation. As the camera zooms in on her, she says, "Hello, my name is Rochelle Cathell." And Rochelle Cathell, really, Inferno? It doesn't matter. It works. It works. Rochelle Cathell, and thank you very much for tuning in. We have exclusive news on the dark underbelly of Tolkien finally being brought to light. And during this expose, this initial 30-minute expose on the black market, starts with the idea that there was actually about 3.5 years ago, the Tolkien Police Department thought they actually dismantled the black market when the initial kingpin, give me a moment, as now I look through this, there we go. A fellow named Avery Campbell, who was believed to be the kingpin of the black market, was arrested and later died due to public execution for his crimes. They thought that was the end of it. But sure enough, thanks to new information from the Tolkien Police Department, they were able to regretfully inform the public that the black market, is in Tolkien, what they call themselves, are still strong and active. And soon enough, you see pictures of Proposition Cal, of Ha Ha, of Quiet Sun, of Lily the Smile, and their various underlings flash the screen. The expose shows that, for example, Proposition, a fellow named Cal Mord, but better known by his street name Proposition, formerly the owner and operator of a business called Palpable Printers, is truly a ruthless criminal mob boss that deals with stealing items from adventurers and passengers and citizens and selling them at exorbitant prices, and so on and so forth. It is a very much like a current affair type of expose thing that you would see on the news. When that finishes up, the news cuts to live feeds of arrests that have been made. And your characters learn the following information. The first shot is outside this really grungy, grimy storefront that is a pawn shop, but is identified as a illicit cyberware cafe. And out from the front, you see Edward Wonderboy Brummel, Ha-Ha's nephew, weeping as he's led away in cuffs. And soon following behind him is his older uncle, Damon Ha-Ha Brummel, but he is not laughing. He looks like he is on the verge of tears himself. He, in fact, is still in operator's whites. His crew, Bethany Talgal Hoggart, a Borg, was led the police on a 7-block chase until she was finally detained. Cecilia One-Eye Sapo was found hanging in her home. She committed suicide. And Reed the Nose Kindon went underground but later was resurfaced 3 days later in a nearby small village and arrested. You find this out a little bit later on. Obviously, that doesn't happen in the news feed. Lily the Smile and her crew has, well, just trying to think the best way of putting this. Lily the Smile, you might remember, she's a woman in her late 50s with deep laugh line and dimples, light brown hair in a bun, huskier. She actually gives herself up to the police, claiming that the expose on the television is a complete and utter fabrication, that she is a well-respected member of the community, and that this is a big political slander. And many of her crew, Steven, Sweet Cakes, Kylie the Professional, and the Rabbit, are all with her. And they're making these big, bold proclamations on the court steps of the Tolkien, local court, saying that this is a conspiracy, perhaps something by the coalition, that is causing their good names to be besmirched. And they're interested, they're going to be fighting this tooth and nail and getting the best litigators to stop these charges. You do not see Roy Boy Schaefer, the one that you knew as Roger Morris, along with them, and you do not hear of his arrest. Soon, the news turns to some violence that have broken out in a warehouse in northeast Tolkien. When they went to arrest Quiet's son, they went down with a fight. The Mute brothers, Glenn and Sidney Keeler in particular, killed 4 officers before they themselves were shot to death. Crazy Eyes was found dead in an alley a week before. Jordan Danger, thankfully, was brought down by police before he could detonate a bomb within the warehouse. And Peglake Gavin was subdued, the only person taken alive. Quiet's son, the dragon, hatchling, escaped Tolkien via the air. And after 2 other dragon allies assisted the Tolkien Police Department, one of them worked for the police department, one was an ally to them, and half of the Tolkien Air Force pursued her for 30 miles until she was finally killed as well. And finally, Prop Cal's crew. You see a wonderful image of the front of palpable printers. You see police all lined up there as they bust through the front door, and you can hear from the camera shouts and profanity and surprise. And sure enough, Proposition Cal and Violet are both let out in handcuffs. It takes about 3 officers to haul the big bulk of Proposition Cal because he all of a sudden decided to do non-violent resistance. He refused to walk. He slumped down, proclaiming what a complete and utter setup everything was, and that he was an honest businessman, and that this was all a huge mistake. And they literally have to drag the fat man into the back of the Pattymobile. Charles Chucky Bandos was arrested at a local pub when he was found incredibly inebriated, and after trying to throw a punch at an officer, he was detained. Unfortunately, the black-bearded man, Corbin the Vet, very similar to Roy Boy, were not on the faces that were arrested. So, all told, either dead or captured, you got, let's see here, 21 out of 23 major players of the black market. In addition, a large amount of lieutenants and street level dealers were also arrested, although many of them will be serving smaller crimes, or they themselves will roll over and testify against their superiors for a lesser charge. But suffice to say, it is a 2-day intensive sweep, and it is all what the for the longest time, well, not for the longest time, but for the past, well, nearly a month at this point, people have been talking about the great dangers, of course. That's always been reverberating through the media, discussions about it, debates about it, news programs about it, right? This is the first time, and if it isn't about the great dangers, it's been about the coalition, of course. But this is the first time, and this whole story has the entire city captivated for about 5 days about it, and the fallout from everything like that, and the awareness of the simmering criminal underworld that was released. And in fact, this has some interesting fallbacks as well. The other major street gangs, the Loners, the Risen Demons, and the Yellow Wolverine crew, there's some splashback from that. There's heightened arrests on all of those fronts, and it's clear that the major council, the circle of give me a moment here. Now I forget how many there are. The circle of 8. Anyways, the king of Tolkien, makes a lot of political hay about this, right? How this is a new dawn of Tolkien, and how can we stop exterior threats if we cannot resolve interior threats, so on and so forth. And after the major sweep of arrests, especially after Proposition Cal and Violet and the rest of them are hauled into prison, back at the safe house, you were reunited with both Edmund, Bess, and your friend Tom, who you're able to see finally in the flesh. Do you guys want to roleplay that reuniting thing, or are you good?
Was it the same day or?
No, it was later. It was like at midnight that night after all the major arrests were done.
Okay. Sure. It can be anywhere, really.
Yeah. It would probably be at the safe house. The police would probably escort Tom and Edmund Bess to the safe house itself. But here, I'll get the ball rolling. Particularly, the doors open, and Tom and Edmund comes in, and Edmund is the first. He's extremely animated to speak. When you first met him, he was severe and in mourning and sad, and he still has that hint of sadness over the loss of his friend, but he also cannot be more overjoyed that true justice had been done.
Mm-hmm.
He proclaims and he says boldly and loudly, my friends, I hope I can call you friends after everything that you did. When I was going around asking for witnesses, asking for help, and coming across this young lass, and he passes over. He brings a hand over to Mila to kind of give her shoulder a squeeze. I didn't think much of you. I didn't think much of anything. I was a desperate man, hoping to find anything, the closest thread of sanity after what happened to Michelle. But I am so fortunate that I found you. I found people of noble and pure hearts who didn't want to just do the bare minimum and live their lives, but actually stand up against criminals and evil. You, I barely have the words to give my thanks, and I only hope that my friend can rest now in peace, knowing that her murderers will face the justice of a free city. Thank you. That's all I can say is thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Patrick looks over to Al to see how he's reacting to this.
How is Al reacting to this? Al would probably shake the Cyber Knight's hand.
Of course, yes, he would. He would.
And while he shakes it, he would say, I've learned in my life and enough about myself that a pure and noble heart is definitely not something I have, but, maybe it's close enough.
I'll not listen to that. Close enough. I do not know. I've not seen anything, otherwise. I haven't seen anything otherwise, so you can't convince me, he says with a smile.
Al would just nod. But he has a huge smile as well.
Now seeing that it looks like things have actually been lifted, it looks like there's not a pending the pending eye or doom or whatever over Patrick. He actually gets also suddenly very happy about this, and he starts actually trying to get a group hug going on.
I don't think Edmund's much of the huggy type, but Tom might oblige.
Is he going to resist Al and Patrick? Because Al would join in with kind of like a knowing, like Al gives up kind of thing.
I guess he wouldn't resist if he was brought into it.
Yeah, and Tom will join in on the group hug as well.
There you go. Wonderful.
And then you see someone's hand reach out and grab the detective. Oh no, the detective's not there, right?
No, she's not there.
Okay.
No, she's not. No, she's not there just yet. Actually, interestingly enough, she'll probably meet with you or get a message out to you a little bit later on. But not now. Not that she's very busy right now. What with the follow through and the blast of the manhunt.
Yeah.
I would like to say that probably the first time since this started, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, when the people were shot.
About 3 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, it's the first night Al's had a really good night's sleep.
Oh, that's nice. That's good. That's good. Edmund Bess, the Cyber Knight. Once again, he's pretty short for a fellow. He's kind of homely looking. But he's going to be in Tolkien for a little while longer. He's going to raise some money to create like a headstone. Unfortunately, they weren't able to recover Michelle's body. It was so badly burned in ash that the rest of it was just cremated. So he has her ashes. But he wants to find a place to commemorate her and to bury her in a place that she might like. But otherwise, he'll give you the information of where he is staying. He's actually staying not in a hotel or anything like that. He's actually staying in a residence. An elderly couple has kind of taken him in as a boarder, for lack of a better word. So you'll have his address if you ever need to contact him. And you have the utter gratitude of him. In addition, as far as additional resources that you guys have actually gained in this, you've also become friends of the Fellowship of the Pure Heart for what you did. You found a non-violent resolution to a very complicated problem. Of course, with Quiet Sun and her crew going out in a blaze of glory, but that was out of your hands. That was in the hands of, a violent people. But because of your approach of this, and because of how much they've taken to a liking to Tom as he's spent his time there, his inquisitiveness, his interest in learning what they're doing, his open-mindedness, you have your welcome there as well. You've been seeing that whenever you require the guidance or the assistance or the sanctuary of the Fellowship of the Pure Heart, it is all yours.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And I was apprehensive about this entire plan at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Well, it could have gone horribly. So.
Oh yeah, it definitely could have.
But you guys made certain decisions, and I'm gonna let you bask in the glory. So, so I think that's where we'll end this session, if it's okay by you guys. You've achieved a major goal here, and the adventures will continue. I already have a few. Like, you have to pick up that the vehicle from Patrick. Hopefully that's still working well. You haven't had a chance to check in on that. And there's a few other things that are going to be thrown at you guys. Nothing devastating, nothing shocking, nothing awful, right?
Currently on our quest list, we have, along with Patrick's vehicle, possibly looking into the prophecy, trying to figure things out. And I think that the followers of the Pure Heart would be the best place to check out.
They definitely are working on it, so that definitely would help a lot. I know you guys have some other major goals too, like you want to visit Parents Post, and
I was going to say
help Morin.
Maybe not like immediately, but
not immediately.
We have been talking about that one a long time.
If you have. So we'll put but I think this session can end on the achieving of this this major goal, and you guys can continue onward with other exciting things. Are you guys up to? I'll still be up for about 10 minutes or so before I need to wind things down. I'm up for doing a bit of a Q&A if you guys are.
Sure.
Okay. All right, lay it on us, chatty chat.
What is your Q's, and we will give you your A's.
Before you ask, Firefrog, I don't want to go to Germany. I don't.
I want to go to Germany.
Why doesn't Patrick not send a bird to his knight's girlfriend? She's dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be kind of rude.
Yeah, that would be kind of rude.
I don't know entirely how. I have to reread the bird thing, but I think it's you have to at least met the person once or something like that.
And I don't know.
How horrible would it be? Hey, I sent a bird to your girlfriend. She's definitely dead.
It wasn't even his girlfriend. He was just a friend of his.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not quite sure if that works for dead people. I have no idea.
It doesn't. I think when I described it, because remember we were trying to find Penel and it circled around in a circle and it came back, and you guys were like, oh god, she's dead. I'm like, no, Patrick knows about the spell. That just means the bird isn't able to get to her. If she was dead, the bird would disappear instantaneously. The spell will no longer be in effect. So that's what would happen. You'd cast it, the bird would show up, and within 2 seconds later it would disappear because it couldn't do what it was asked to. Yeah, I also need to fix the behemoth. It's still pretty beat up, especially that sensor system.
Yeah.
You have to follow up with Ishbiming, find out what happened to that 10 million.
Yeah, we really do. But there was something that I was interested in possibly looking into having Tom learn. Because I'm pretty sure MDC materials aren't just one specific metal, right?
No.
It's an alloy.
No. Yeah, there are a variety of alloys, from plastic composites to steel composites to a bunch of other shit. Yeah.
Okay. So, wouldn't it be neat if Tom learned how to smelt or that kind of thing? So, we could mine up our own ores, create MDC materials, and repair the ship when we want to. You know what I mean?
That sounds like something that would take years to learn how to do. I don't know, but you are a burst.
I don't know.
I'd have to think about that. It would definitely be. It definitely would be a work in progress.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely would.
It's just an idea. An idea I thought up like 3 days ago, so yeah.
No worries. Does the Coalition know about Mila's ties with Tom and Al? Yes, of course. One of the main reasons why the party went east initially was because that Coalition independent operative, Sebastian Dahl, I believe his name was. And he pretty much outed the group and showed that not only Tom and Al have bounties on them from the Coalition, or wanted status, but so does Patrick, so does Alicia, so does Mila, so does Pamel, all known associates.
Yeah, and ironically, they're actually probably in more danger now than Tom and Al are because they don't recognize Tom and Al.
Exactly, but Mila and Patrick and Alicia are still very much recognizable. How's the prophecy coming along? I don't know. The party will have to see. I know what's happening.
Everyone's dead. This is all just Patrick's dream.
No.
Oh, sweet.
Prophecy went horribly.
I haven't forgotten about the first one. I haven't forgotten about the Swarm. I know exactly what the Swarm's doing right now. Exactly. If they're doing anything. If they even arrived. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. We'll see.
Oh boy.
What are the chances of getting the Raw of Corsairs? What do you mean, like the full sessions? Because we're not doing that. We're just doing episodes.
Yeah, and trust me, the edited stuff is the best stuff.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of the stuff that's edited out is or ahs or like a lot of rule questions, especially that combat one. That
and rambling.
Combat.
And rambling.
Ramble a lot.
Yeah, Inferno goes a little nuts trying to get everyone on page.
There's actually a slight discussion about, like, basically us rewatching it and then kind of acting out what happens as players and things like that, so it's more story oriented instead of all the rules and whatnot. But that was something that we discussed, and we decided to go with the rules for now. So we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, I like that rule, roughly.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's not really like a we're not looking to do improvements. It's more of like, what kind of way do we want to do this? Like,
feeling out still.
It's a give and take, because on one hand, it's a little bit more polished if you do it the second way, but you also lose the spontaneity. A lot of comedy, a lot of funny, the best moments are spur of the moment, and you kind of lose that if you try and redo everything.
Yeah, and some people really like, if they're sitting down and seeing a role play, sometimes they do just want to see, like, the roles and the numbers and see, like, behind how, like, characters get influenced by what happens with their dice.
For me, that's a part of the role-playing experience. If you take away the dice, then it just becomes a diceless role-playing game.
And that's weird.
You should show people all the aspects of what we do, right? I think Criana does an amazing job editing. I couldn't do any better. It's great. I mean, there's times the videos come up, I'm like, I was in this. I'll only watch a couple minutes, and I watch the entire thing because it's so well edited. Like, I know what happens, but I don't care. Yeah.
She has done a fantastic job. I did a bit of the first one. Because there was some, like, severe audio problems, but she's the last, like, I don't know, 3 of them, that was all her. Like, I did not even touch them. So
cool.
Kudos.
Tell you what, Cobra, we can't list a bunch of them, but give us 3 examples, and I'll give you one. It would be an SDC.
Well, we actually have a PDF that Squee gave us.
Oh yeah, shit. Oh yeah, okay, there we go.
Let me try and Dropbox it, and then I'll link it in chat for you.
Perfect. Then there you go.
Because it literally has a section of just bullet types.
Oh, dude, now that's perfect.
Granted, a lot of the bullet types that you're asking for are non-standard. They're a lot bigger and weirder, but still, it should be Fine.
A great It's what I would use. It's exactly what I would use. So, as a fundamental idea. So there you go.
Yeah, I'd just give a small amount of advice. If you have an idea and you can't find it, make something up. Find like find a base and go like, well, if it's different in this way, we'll change it like this.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
And also, I would suggest, I can't think of any off the top of my head, though, but especially for like riffs, there's tons of people online who have made, not so much like they've made exactly what you're looking for, but they've made quick ways to make NPCs or weapons or magical items that you can use as a guideline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And riffs, if you think you're making something maybe like unbalanced or anything like that,
Sorry to laugh at that. Yeah.
Riffs does not care about that and will pretty much support anything and even the most ridiculous things, including giga damage.
Yeah. There is a table for giga damage.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
The only thing you have to be worried about is not balance as far as the world's concerned, or even balance at all, but just make sure you're not throwing giga damage at your level 1 characters, players.
Well, that's because you didn't give them giga damage armor, Squee.
Oh,
no, see, that's the point. What I'm saying is you have to be aware of that if you don't give them the armor, they might not be pleased.
Well, that's like saying shooting a mega damage at STC, like that's...
Right, I was simply saying that you don't have to worry about balance in that sense, but you do at least have to be aware of what you're throwing your players into.
Right. Yeah. You want to actually make an adventure that you feel like other people will enjoy in one way or another. How you do that is really up to you. And...
Yeah, I mean, we just took down the black market through investigation. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a nice little change.
That was
up
great.
Of how we do stuff. Yeah.
Next, diplomacy.
Next, we teach the orcs to be smart.
What an adventure. About 20 years.
20 years later, they passed the 3rd grade.
If you want our personal opinions about like caliber size, gun types, and things like that, I have to say, I could give you a guess, but like I'm not even familiar with real life guns, so being able to give you an accurate description of something that is not in any particular books and even non-standard in real life, I would be hard pressed to actually give you an educated answer.
Yeah.
I can tell you anything bigger than 7.62 is going to hurt your shoulder. I can also tell you that it's going to be really hard to answer too, because let's say you take a 7.62 round, which is a big, heavy round, versus a 5.56, which is smaller, but the 5.56 is a hollow point. Now it's anyone's guess what's going to do more damage, so it really depends on a lot of factors.
You're going to do damage types, and Rifts doesn't even have damage types. Like it
and
kind
also
of does, but...
the amount of gunpowder too. I mean, think about because a lot of people don't realize this. A Desert Eagle fires the same size bullet that a 50 caliber sniper rifle fires, but I can promise you the level of damage is really different, basically because of how much powder is behind the bullet.
Yeah. It is extremely different. Hey, Tolkien doesn't hate you yet. Is that a new record? Maybe. we do have a tendency.
Hate them. New Laszlo doesn't hate you.
Towns generally don't hate us. It's the powers within said. Well, not
exactly.
Even within towns, but towns in general don't seem to have a big problem with us. Like villages, Greencastle. I can't think of a real big town that hates us. I mean, if you think New Laszlo, Greencastle, Flint,
There's an entire space station that probably doesn't like us.
Well, there's at least that ship.
I think, yeah. There's the inside joke, but actually, the guy who runs the inside joke is on Earth now.
It is an inside joke. Ah!
Outcast Station it doesn't hate the PCs. It's just a hostile environment for everybody because it's a space slum. So yeah.
I was really talking about the inside joke.
Oh yeah, the inside joke. Good old inside joke.
We dropped a lot of stuff on them.
You sure did.
Yeah, we did.
I think it's more about what we took away.
You think they want their harp back?
I'm actually really glad at how tonight's session turned out. I'm insanely glad.
Good.
I am too. To me, it's a perfect example that sometimes it's fun to go in guns blazing and have a lot of action, but it can be just as satisfying to do it this way, because this is, I think, even if we didn't really crystallize it, this is what most of us were hoping for. A way to realistically and very thoroughly dismantle the black market without naming ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And we succeeded in that fairly high goal.
Yeah, you sure did.
I will say, even though the stakes were not as high, I had very similar feelings rolling for those 6 skills. That were just like, hey,
it was on the edge of the feet. Yeah.
Yeah. If it was if you don't succeed, it'll probably just take longer, or you just won't get certain information or something like that.
Or you won't have as much success.
Yeah. And that I felt as much excitement and tension and things like that than the freaking being that was going to possess us.
Yeah.
No.
And very, very plausible to actually kill our characters dead. And I was just like, I hope this goes well in both cases, where it's just like, you're gonna roll this if you fail.
True.
Yeah.
Playing Cards Against Humanity as your character. That'd be interesting.
Oh, that would be interesting, but it would be so fucking meta, because which character? I have 4.
But here's the best thing. We really seriously have to do an April Fool's where we do a gag session where you guys are your characters and I'm
I'm
Tyra
down.
and I'm taking you through risks.
I'm so down. Yeah, I honestly don't think we should even wait till April Fool's. There's plenty of holidays coming up. We could be a special.
Good point. We could do a Halloween themed special with Tyrath.
We could convince Criana to maybe draw a picture for it, where if it's like Christmas, where everyone's wearing Christmas stuff, or if it's Halloween, everyone's in a costume.
I love it. Oh my god, I can just think. Can I imagine the?
And I was thinking about too. Al would not be a doctor.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, I don't think Al would be a doctor. The more I think about it.
And here's the more thing I think about too, is I have to think what kind of DM Tyrath would be, and I think it'd be a serious hard ass.
Oh god.
Like, he's used to doing things his way. I wonder if he's gonna put you on the rails or not.
Oh, that would be so hilarious.
No, you're doing this. We could even make it like a thing of what not to do as a GM.
Yeah, like would Tyrath even try to hide that they're on the rails, or
just straight off the bat? Okay, you're going to go on my adventure. You're coming with me.
Because there's a lot of GMs where if you're like, let's say, okay, we want to go get the city guards on this, and then they'll kind of let you go try, but you'll just fail whatever you do. And then there'd be Tyrath where he's just like, it doesn't work. What? I mean,
no.
We get to try. No,
you cannot do this action.
Why?
Why are you even attempting?
It gets more and more annoying. It's like, well, why won't they help us? They didn't like
it. Is
why didn't they like
the
us?
bard
because
in the
you
knows
smell
the information you seek. Why are you not conversing with him? Do I
The next
need?
part.
Do I need to have the bard sing a song telling you what to do next? Is that what humans prefer?
It's like Tyrath, weren't we supposed to figure that out? You were taking too long.
Exactly.
Your
so now
turn
you're in front of a
ends.
cave. What?
Fast
we get
forward
here?
a day and a half later.
Okay, let's not ruin all the good jokes ahead of
Yeah,
time.
let's not. Let's
My
not.
God, it's a GM who's actually used to the powers of a GM in the world.
Yes! It's great. What are you talking about? You can just teleport here. Why are you bothering to walk? But you can just go back 5 years and prevent this whole thing from happening.
Awesome.
Oh
Well,
God, or I was gonna say, or Tyrath would think the solution's incredibly simple, and it's a solution none of us would think of because we're not godlike.
Yeah.
That was the
It is
one that
clear
I was.
you use the refractor gem. Everyone knows what a refractor gem is.
I'm Tyra. I don't know what a refractor gem is.
You die.
Okay.
Whole new.
Oh my God, one of us might have to make like several characters during this session.
Talk
Oh
about a
my
killer
God.
gem. Okay. Unfortunately, I could laugh about this forever, but I should go to bed. It's a work night, so.
All right.
All right, yeah.
I'm going to answer one last question, which is, what is a skill you really want your character to learn? I'm not sure at this point in time. I think it would be neat to actually learn how to combat in power armor, but at the same time, I like the smelting or whatever, making alloys or that kind of thing. That idea. That would be neat.
I actually got the ones that I wanted. It's very, very specifically.
Cool. Squee? Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Honestly, trying to think. If anything, if he would learned anything, I'd want him to learn, if it's possible, how to use Titan power armor better. Not Titan power armor.
Flying
what does
Titan.
he have? It's, no, not the Flying Titan. The is that the name? The new power armor, the Terrain Hopper.
Oh,
Yeah.
the terrain hopper, yeah.
Yeah, he'd want to be able to use the Terrain Hopper in elite status, like he used to be able to use the Titan.
Yeah.
So, could everyone say goodbye to Inferno?
Bye, Inferno.
Goodbye, Inferno. He already left, but I'm sending Skype messages. I kind of cut you off, Piph. Was there anything else that you needed to say?
I
I'm
was
sorry.
going to say what those were, but
Yeah, go ahead. Say that.
Laser was a fun skill to get. Initially, I was looking through the base book and things like that, and I could only find like lore, demons, and monsters. And very early on, I said this to Inferno, like, is there like a thing for specifically like artifacts and things like that? So he gave me lore magic, so that was something that I particularly enjoyed. Cryptology was another one that I really wanted and got that one. As well as chemical sciences and forensics. I wanted that so bad because I felt like Patrick would like kind of excel at like, you know, those freaking TV shows where they're just like, this is the answer. Oh shit, why didn't we think this person did it? He'd be a gumshoe. Be able to be like, freaking, see this hair follicle? The hair follicle did it. And you're like, wow.
No, see, I saw Gumshoes on Where's Carmen Sandiego show, and all they did was run around a map placing markers down.
And majority of them were really good at that.
Yeah, they were. I remember as a kid going, "How the hell do you know all this?"
Freaking Carmen Sandiego was right there, but we haven't even started the show. She's right there.
What?
I mean, you're
What?
right, but
Yeah.
I should get going too.
Yeah.
So-
You have a good day, Squee.
mm-hmm.
Take care, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for 3 Galaxies.
Yeah.
My God, that's a thing.
Bye.
Bye.
And IHTFP, I'm not entirely sure that field armor is the skill I want, because I don't really want to, like, know how to repair. I just want to know how to, like, mix different metals together to create MDC metals that we can use to have Patrick repair. You know what I mean? Right?
I'm sorry, I was reading the chat for a second.
Oh my god.
So you said something about repairing something.
Yeah. Field armor, from what I can tell, is like repairing armor and things like that.
I
But
think weapons engineer actually kind of covers that.
Yeah.
It's like weapons engineer covers so much. You can basically build weapons.
Yeah. Essentially, what I'm interested in learning is metallurgy. I think that's the actual word, the term metallurgy, where you have a knowledge of mixing this type of metal with this type of metal, and then creating an MDC metal, and that's it.
Oh.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, I don't think Patrick would know that.
yeah.
Like, I mean, like, he would know the alloys and things like that, but not specifically how to. Like, I don't think he's ever done it or know how to do it.
Yeah.
He would know which ones to use, but I don't think he'd be able to be like, I can make them from ores.
Yeah. That's what I think the group is missing. Like, the ability to be able to mine up ores, create it, and then apply it in case of emergency situation. Yeah. Anyways, I think it's just you and me, and I think we should be done with stuff. I mean,
I mean, we can.
no, we're gonna go. Okay, bye.
Okay. Bye.